Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
It's Friday! Woo-hoo!
What's going on?
Where's G?
I don't know.
Nuggets.
G texted me and said he woke up, there was no power in his house, and that text came at 10:57. So
I gotta say I love G, but that sounds very fishy. I mean,
so he's on his way right now.
nobody has more power outages and traffic than G.
Hey, listen, to anyone out there watching in Lakewood,
keys, glasses.
if anyone out there in Lakewood's watching, is your power out? Just let us know.
Yeah,
Let us know.
exactly. By the way, today is a great day.
The Lakewood check.
It is
Do we know what's happening today?
What is happening?
Friday.
My parents are in town.
Mikey's parents are in town.
The
but
Big
that's
Ten
not the great-
championships start at Spire.
I'm disappointed in you, Jay, in particular.
rocking
You
the
don't
shirt,
know what
Jay.
I'm talking about here. The first spring
nice,
training
nice.
baseball games.
Oh, it is?
The Guardians don't play
Yeah, I
till
said
tomorrow.
the Guardians open tomorrow.
But there's a couple of games today.
I didn't know there were games
Yes.
today. Wow.
We're actually going to have baseball
We're
on the
not going to
diamonds.
see many of the stars.
I
in
doubt
these
we'll see
games.
any of them,
Yeah,
but-
or maybe for 2 innings and then they'll
That's it.
chase
But
the tea time.
just to see, I want to
Who's
go
playing
home.
today. I didn't know that.
I can't even remember who's playing. I think the Yankees are playing. I think the Mets are playing. I think there's a few other games.
Very
but
nice.
It's like there's like a couple of games where it's like
All in Florida?
a major league team against a college team.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I think it's all Florida teams if I remember
Okay.
correctly.
Okay.
But I
nice.
just to go home, put on MLB Network and see
hear the crack of the
baseball
bat.
and hear the bat.
And it's not tape.
Right.
Because I'm such a diehard that I will, as I'm flipping through, I will stop on Bally's and watch a rerun of a
Right.
July 13th game against whomever.
When all the sports were
crazy
shut
for that.
down.
I know I am, but that's how much I love
When
baseball.
all the sports were shut down during COVID, I was watching Korean League baseball on ESPN.
And see, I'm never that desperate.
I was watching it
Because I have
at
to
like
at least
5 in the
know
morning.
some of the players, you know.
I would put it on. I'd get up early. My son would come in. We'd watch Korean League baseball.
Man, I thought I was a diehard. I will not. I won't watch Korean League baseball.
It's not
All
even
right,
like
buddy.
it's not even Japanese league, which is
I know.
above Korean.
Japanese, I might watch.
Man, you got to be a real diehard
Yeah.
to be sitting up for watching Korean League baseball
Yeah.
at 5 in the morning.
That is a die. I'll tell you this though. There a couple years ago, we were on vacation. We were up in the Cape Cod area, and my wife and we were with Kirsten and Corey as well. They would. Whenever we would be in an area where you'd see a ball field,
Yeah.
they would be like, "Uh-oh," because I would always want to. I would see the light standards, and I would say,
Yeah.
"Hey, let's swing by there, see if there's a game going on," because it would just be a random Cape Cod league. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, if you've never done and you're a big
Very
baseball
good.
fan,
Great
oh
baseball.
my God,
Great
I
baseball.
just love the atmosphere. The environment is great. They're mostly in neighborhoods.
Isn't it
so
wood bat?
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're all prospects. You know, they're all very, very good college
Right.
players. And
wow.
I've known a number of guys that have gone through there, and it's a really cool environment because they're in neighborhoods.
Yep.
Many of the parks are actually in the backyards to homes back right up to the field.
Like the Sandlot.
So they, they build little structures up so they can elevate and see over some of the stands. They put their seats in there and their chairs there, and it's just those are really fun watches. I don't know any of the guys, but they usually have play-by-play teams. Guys like yourself, young in college,
Yeah.
when you were coming up, doing it for the experience. Some of the
Yeah.
games were broadcast, some of them were just tape recording. But it's a
Right.
really cool environment.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
encourage that. Busy show today. We're going to get a diet update. Do we have a bet today?
We do have a bet
Yeah.
today, and the
Okay.
diet's already changed from yesterday. So I'm
It has.
glad we waited to do it today.
Right, yeah. So first of all, let's get the bet out of the way. Did you win last night?
I did not. I had the Cavs.
Yeah, and they lost by 6.
They lost by
114,
6. They were
109,
favored by
5.
2. So
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, no, that
Not
was
playing well down the
disappointing. We're going to
stretch
talk
again.
about the Cavs. We'll
Right.
break that down. And so he has a bet today, right?
he's got his bet today, and it's brought to us, as always, by Bet Rivers. Hey, Ohio, Bet Rivers Online Sportsbook is the place to be for every single game. Now is the perfect time to join Bet Rivers Sportsbook. When you use deposit code SPORTS, you'll receive a second chance bet up to $500. Get in on all the action with weekly specials on your favorite sports like basketball and hockey to help you win big cash prizes. Check out BetRivers.com or download the BetRivers app today for the latest lines, odds, and boosts.
And remember, the BetRivers Sportsbook coming to the Hall of Fame Village later this year. A lot of things going on at the Hall of Fame Village.
And that will be open, I'm guessing, every day.
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
So that's.
And your podcast, give us an update on that. When does that
I
start
still
again?
have an exact start date yet.
We don't know yet. Okay. A couple weeks, though, maybe.
I'm hoping March 6th, but I'm a little frustrated we don't have an exact start date yet.
Okay.
But we should have soon.
Well, we'll get that ironed out. Okay, Now to the bet. What's your bet?
So I'm doubling down on the Cavs after losing with the Cavs yesterday, which I probably shouldn't because the Cavs haven't been very good on the road. But Atlanta's a bit of a mess. The Cavs have surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, they're a young team. They've actually done very well on the back end of back-to-backs. They've won 8 of their last 10 on the back end of back-to-back. So I like the Cavs to on the money line, straight out win in Atlanta today.
Now, for those that don't understand it, let's educate so they're more likely to get involved in this.
Right.
Money line plus 108 means
that means if you bet $100, you win $108.
Right.
So it's a slight underdog for the Cavs to win.
And money line's just to win.
Yeah, money line's the winner.
Yeah.
And I like those bets better.
Yes.
Because so often in games, and last night was an example, you see them all the time.
Yeah.
That money line or the point spread can be a loser on a stupid bucket that means nothing. You see it all the time. Bad beats.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, diet update. How you doing?
Yeah. So
you're 24 hours in.
It's so bizarre because obviously this diet was really, really strict, and I called my guy. Dr.
It was a
May.
shake in the morning, a shake at lunch, and a sub 500 calorie frozen dinner for dinner, and that was it.
And that was it. And I called my guy yesterday afternoon, and I was like, I don't know that I could do these shakes because I find them really gross. When I took the afternoon shake, I was like nearly throwing up. I was so just because I found the taste so. I just don't like shakes. I don't like that type of stuff. And he was like, okay, we're gonna switch this up. The reason I suggested shake is because almost all of my clients like knowing exactly how many calories, and they just take the shake and that's it. Most people like shakes.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people.
And they're high in protein.
Right. So he said, all right, we need to, here are some options. We need to find other proteins that are high in protein, very low in calories, blah, blah, blah. So I'm replacing the shakes already with either white meat chicken, shrimp, tuna, sardines in water, all that in water.
And did he give you an ounce amount?
Yeah,
4 ounces? Or...
3 to 5 ounces, depending on how many calories and how many grams of protein.
So you did that this morning. Then I'm guessing you had a protein in the morning.
Yes. So this morning I had 3 ounces of shrimp cocktail shrimp, little shrimps.
Yeah.
I had 1 small chicken tenderloin. It was I think it was 1.5 ounces.
Right.
And then I had lettuce and cucumber, and that was my breakfast.
Okay.
And so last night I was like, because I had done this with the shakes, and I had my meal, and my meal tasted like the greatest meal ever.
I bet.
It was like 2 little frozen meatloaf with some mashed potatoes.
Was it filling? Did it
It was very filling.
Off?
I wasn't really that hungry until 9 o'clock last night. I was I'm sweating.
Yeah. First day.
Really?
So I got to tell my guy, but I did take a little bit of shrimp last night, and I had an apple because I was just like, I got to have a little something.
Just something to
because I'm losing my mind. And I'm like, I still had under 1,000 calories. I think I'll be okay. And
that's a huge reduction.
Hold on. What is your total amount of calories for the day?
About 800.
I can't. It was about 800. I'm not going over 1,000 in a day.
That's tough.
I'm
That's
going
the same
cold
look I gave
turkey,
him, Brad.
essentially.
That
That's
makes
bad.
sense to me.
Here,
You've
let me just
had
tell
2 shots, I'm guessing. You started the shots.
No, the shots are once a week.
Oh, just once a week.
Yeah.
And what
I feel
day did
much
you have
better
the
today,
shot?
though. I was shaky yesterday, but I feel much better.
What day did you?
I took it yesterday.
So it's so early in the game, and you know you had hunger cravings last night. Are you feeling like, for what little you've eaten today, that you should be hungrier?
Yeah, I don't know how much the Wegovy has taken effect in 26 hours at this point, but I don't feel hungry, even though I had my very small breakfast and I was full at the end. So maybe it is playing a role already. Maybe it's a mind game. I got a long way to go.
Let me ask you a question, because here.
Yeah.
One, I believe in adjusting your diet, but you have to combine that with exercise.
Yeah, I did.
You have to do that.
Yesterday
too.
I did it.
I had some people ask me about that because I talked about that.
Yes, I did. and that's been a challenge too because my knees have been hurting and whatever.
Right.
But I did a 45-minute walk yesterday.
That's good.
Nice.
Which
That's
was
good.
good. And
Do you
then
do treadmill or outdoor?
outdoor because it was beautiful
Now,
yesterday.
today it's going to be colder.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, the rec center in Rocky
Yeah.
River,
Right.
and I go walk around the basketball court.
Nice.
But I did 45 minutes, and then my son and I had a catch for 20 minutes,
So that's
and then then he was hitting off a tee, but I wasn't doing much for that.
What do you think you were doing? And I know we're gonna move on, but what do you think we were doing for your amount of calories before the diet?
I asked him that. He
What do
wasn't
you-
sure.
God, I don't like. I've kept track of my calories in the past, but for the past 6-8 months I haven't been dieting at all, so I haven't really kept track. But I got to imagine 4,000 or 5,000 maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
To
Maybe
go
more.
from there to
So that's-
800 to 1,000.
I'll tell you, this is going to be fun for us.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got a huge support system here.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I told you that yesterday.
Yeah.
But all of us.
Yeah, no,
we'll
I
all
know. It's
echo
great.
This. But
Yeah.
if you ever, and I know it seems like maybe a moment of weakness, but if you need a pep talk and it's 1:30 in the morning, I keep my ringer on.
I appreciate
Freaking
it.
call me, man. And I'm sure we're all in this with you.
Yeah, I
And
appreciate
what's
it.
going to be
Director Steve
fun
said
for
he's
us,
in too.
and I mean it. I'm not just, that's not lip service bull.
No, I know you mean it.
I
appreciate
am
it.
really, really pulling for you. I know it's not a matter of do I know you can do it or not. You've done it.
Yeah.
I was listening to you on the radio and followed your weight loss journey the first time, and I didn't even know you, Bull.
Yeah.
But I was so proud of what you had done and your accomplishment, and I thought, wow, there's a guy that had a problem, faced it head on. And I remember listening to you one night on my drive home, and you said, I got to be honest, I don't even think about eating all the bad stuff that I used to anymore.
I was in a good place.
And I thought, he has arrived.
I thought I
Now-
had, and that's part of the tough part for me mentally is I'm so angry with myself that I let myself get so heavy.
We're going to make it so you fall in love with yourself
But
again
I feel
on that-
good,
on
and
that
I
point.
feel I was glad that I felt like I got to get used to eating different foods. I have right now, listen, it's early, it's easy for me to say it. I have no desire to eat any bad foods.
Good.
Right.
And
Think about-
it's an adjustment, but
Think about Aaron.
yeah, of course.
You know, that's what I would
know.
think about, because Aaron's a young kid. He's 9 years old.
There's a lot going on in my family with
Yes,
my wife.
there
I'm
is.
not getting into all the
You've
details
got a lot
right
of
now,
motivation
But
to
I
do
got a lot
this.
of motivation right now. I feel good about it.
We're here for
Thank
you.
you. Thank
And you know what? I'm also going to tell you, because I've had a number of viewers
Yeah.
already ask me about it,
Yeah.
because they wanted it. Two people asked me, well, what was the exercise piece of it? Because it's got to be
Yeah.
in tandem. And I forgot to ask that. Bad job by me.
Yeah.
However, I'll say this. I think that with the drug, with that help, and with what you're doing, you're going to literally, if you miss the show for a week and you tune in, you are going to see a noticeable difference. I think the first 2 or 3 weeks, it's going to be
Yeah,
stark.
I mean, my starting weight, I'll say, was 359, which is the heaviest I've been in a very long time. When I was like 35, I weighed 375 pounds. But this is the heaviest I've been, so I'm expecting to lose 20, 25 pounds in the first couple of weeks. Maybe I won't. That's what I've done when I was heavier before, but I'm much
Yeah.
older now,
Right,
so
right,
maybe
right.
I won't lose that much.
I bet you it's going to fly off of you.
Yeah,
And then this is
hope
just
so.
step one of your journey.
It's step one. It's a
Step
long.
two is perhaps the weight loss surgery,
Yes.
which is more long-term maintenance. right?
Absolutely. Well, my dietitian has basically is creating a 5-year plan for me.
Wow, great, great.
So
Okay.
long way to go.
All right, we're with you. We're cheering,
Thank you.
we're cheering you on, brother. Busy show today. Charles Oakley's going to be here. I've got a lot of questions for Charles.
Love
I can't
Charles
wait to
Oakley.
talk to him. I know you're a long-time buddy.
That's my guy.
He was one of my favorite players.
guy.
I
Even
loved his style.
Loved watching him play.
You know what? I don't know that there'd be a place in the game for Charles today.
Yes, it would.
It's such a
Yes,
pansy
he
You have to
game
adjust his
today.
game a little, though. No.
It's such a pansy
he-
game, though,
he-
Brad.
Here, let me
He
tell you.
was the enforcer.
He was an enforcer, right? And this is what is wrong with the league, in my opinion, today, right? They have eradicated these people, right?
That's why I say.
Yeah.
And so, but he has a play. I don't care what era you put him in. He'd be okay.
He just
but-
wouldn't be able to be the player he
Right.
was.
You'd have to adjust your game.
Yeah.
But he's great in the locker room, first of all.
Right.
Second of all, he has the respect of his peers. I don't care what age they are. They all respect Charles Oakley.
They do.
And the second thing that you need a guy like that. He's a truth to power guy.
Okay.
Right? He don't give it to you straight. I've been in rooms with him where he was giving the business to Jordan.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
We're keeping everybody honest around here. Everybody's honest around here. right?
How did Jordan handle that?
We were all grown men, young men, but you had to respect the guy for just putting it out there, right? I think that's what happened in the Last Dance. That's why the guys like Scotty and Horace got so bad, because you only telling one side of the story.
Sure.
As much as you were giving it out, they were giving it back to you, right?
All of them?
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Oh, yes. And it wasn't in a malicious way.
Sure. Helpful. It was constructive.
Right. But that's what made the team better.
Sure.
Because there was that type of rapport.
Right.
But Charles was leading.
Charles will be here. Got a list of questions. I'm sure you guys do too. Can't wait for that. Also, we're going to talk Guardians. Top 5 first basemen in baseball. This was easy for me. I don't know.
I thought 5 was a tough call.
Okay. Well, let's.
1 through 4 was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I thought. Well, whatever. But
you're going to disagree with
We'll
my 1. I've got a reason for it, but we'll explain that later.
I think there's a debate between 1 and 2.
You do? Okay,
I
good.
do. Yeah.
I thought there was a debate in 1 and 2 too.
I thought about it for a while.
Definitely, Josh Bell is not in the top 5.
He is not in the top 5.
Nice
Unfortunately,
player,
neither is Josh Naylor.
neither is Josh
Cavs
Naylor.
and Nuggets last night, 114-109.
Yeah.
Disappointing loss. I know that the Nuggets are the 1 in the West.
Right.
I know that Jokic. This dude's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a player.
I look at him and I'm like, shouldn't be that good. He's like a big blob.
Yeah.
He reminds me. I don't want his play doesn't remind me of Larry Bird, but the emotions that he elicits when I look at him remind me of what I used to think before I watched Larry Bird really play. But the guy is just absolutely. He does everything.
But at least
well.
Bird wasn't chubby.
No, this guy's got baby fat on him.
I know.
mean,
Mike was
there's
at the
no
game.
definition to his body.
I was
was
there
a
last
6th row.
night.
What did you think of him up close?
So I got upgraded seats, super lucky.
Right.
I was 6 rows off the court.
Oh, wow.
Like right on the
You were
Nuggets side.
behind.
I was sitting right next to
and
Colleague
CeCe
and
Sabathia.
CeCe. Yeah.
Right.
They were on the baseline. I was on the
Nice.
sideline, but
Yeah.
yeah, right there.
Very cool.
And shout out to Maddie for the seats, and then we got upgraded from wherever the seats were supposed to be to
Very
6th row.
nice.
It was awesome, awesome time. Sorry, Anthony, because they were really Anthony's tickets at first, but he had to bail out at the last minute. So that kind of sucked. But I told my buddy Eli, who works for the Sixers, hey, I'm sitting really close for Jokic, and he goes, you're in for a treat. There's not another player in the NBA like him, which you kind of know watching, but he goes up close and personal. It's not the athleticism. It's seeing how precise he does everything, but how dopey he is. He looks like a giant sloth who just took melatonin, wobbling up and down the court.
He does.
Throwing
That's so well
bullet
said.
passes behind the back on the money. He had a couple loose turnovers as G. Bush walks in here.
G. Bush.
But overall, it was the quietest 24-18-13 ever. And
Yeah, I
he
know you
dominated
had
every
texted
facet
that.
of the game, and there was never a point where it was like,
Oh, you're already
he's
on camera,
dominating.
bro.
He's
Come on.
unbelievable.
I was watching with the box score
Go
open,
on
so it
camera,
wasn't
bro.
a quiet accumulation of those stats for me. Like I was aware of where he was pretty much in all 3 at all times. But you really struck on something. Here's the way I describe him: an awkward tactician. He is. You're right about the deliberate. He's so good with his footwork and all of his tactics are good, but he does it in a very un-ballerina style, which is why I don't think we've seen anybody quite like him, have we?
And he's super physical. Real quick, Brad. The other thing, and you notice this up close and personal, he is super physical. Like he's not chiseled.
Like
he's not
leaning
muscular.
on you mean, or
It feels like playing him would be a pain in the ass. Like he's
Yeah.
leaning on you the whole time, and every screen he set, he's hitting somebody. Like
Yeah.
he was for a European, they get sometimes they're not that tough tag.
Oh,
this dude's tough.
is there a comparison? Because I was thinking last night when I was watching him, I can't really think of another guy that I can say he is exactly like.
No, I don't think there's a guy he's exactly like, but he's a throwback because first of all he's skilled,
Yeah.
and I will tell you one of my things about current today, they're not as skilled as the guys from before.
The fundamentals have been eroded.
No, he has all his fundamentals. The other thing he has
Is that because he's from Europe? you
yeah,
think?
because 30 years ago they didn't have any skills.
No.
Then we took the camps over to Europe, and then when we took the camps over to Europe, I mean, the NBA started helping them develop their game.
Yeah.
And then the broadcast, what happened? The NBA started broadcasting in Europe.
Right.
So live games would come on 3, 4 in the morning, and those kids would be watching, right? And that's how they got their games developed. But I would just tell you, Jokic is skilled. He is skilled, and he's heavy. He's like size like Lambeer, but he's got more finesse to him, and he can lean on you, wear you down, so a young kid won't be able to take that. Second of all, you can't move him. He's not to be trifled with, right? At all. Not to be trifled with at all, right? And the other thing, he just plays. You look at those numbers. Put those numbers back up, Mike.
Yeah, 130, Steve, 130.
So I would tell you to get this number of points, this number of rebounds. Okay, you're a big man, you can probably get the double-double, right?
The assist.
The assist. You know how hard it is to get 13 assists? You know how hard it is to get 6 or 7?
Can he win a title?
I don't think they're going to win.
You don't?
I think I was saying this in the gym last night, he's the regular season MVP. He can't seem to translate that to a 7-game series.
Why is that?
Because a 7-game series is different.
Now I got you.
It's different. You have to be able to get a spark to get a jump on somebody. And I got 7 games to get it out of you, right? It's not like we bouncing around games here.
Sure.
Right.
There's no room for error in a 7-game series. So if he's dribbling the ball, bringing the basketball up, and they got to run, they pick and roll, they play action, that's slow and methodical. So now in 7 games, I'm looking at Joker. I see him coming up the court. And now we can do some things. I said the other night, well, if he's going to bring the ball up, let's test his conditioning. In a 7-game series, you know what you could do? You could put somebody on him and say, pick him up at three-quarters court.
But, G, to your point, it's not the 7. I'm just trying to win 48 minutes.
Yeah.
And see, when I win 48 minutes, it changes the dynamic for the next game. Right?
Who's that?
Because I'm just trying to win that moment. And when I win enough of those moments, the next thing, a series can turn. Sure. And then some of the strengths that you bring to the table, now they get negated because you got to play another way now.
Mobley had a nice night.
He had a great night.
Nice.
But
crazy.
I'm trying to rack my brain to think of a comparison to Jokic. And what was the name of the guy who came over from Europe later?
Arvydas Sabonis.
Yeah,
Sabonis.
That's
a
it.
little
Is that a
bit.
good comparison or no?
But I think on steroids.
It would have been Sabonis. Sabonis was more like that when Sabonis was
Young
healthy.
was in Europe.
Yeah. And was younger and healthy.
Right.
I wonder about his durability long term. How long can he do
Well,
this?
in this game here, he can play because the way they play it now. But at some point, you got to become fit. You have to.
I know it's like watching John Daly win a golf tournament.
Is it possible he's more fit than he looks?
He's
I don't
definitely
know.
more fit than he looks. for the
Really?
record.
Because he looks soft, man.
He has.
Real quick, G, he's played, just for the record, he's played over 70 games every year of his career. Like he's played since 2015
How old is
he
he?
came to the league.
That's amazing.
He's 28 years old. He played 80, 73, 75, 80, 73, 72, 77. He's played 52 games already this year.
I mean, in this day and age,
Those guys don't do that anymore.
Serviceable strength. He has functional strength. He has basketball functional strength. I think when you look at him, the difference is when I look at the playoffs, there's a couple of things that you could do that's a little different. Like as a coach, what killed the Cavs, Joker gonna get his. But Porter Jr. in those threes was the dagger. He had 25 last night. You look at Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, 17.
Yeah.
And those guys, they combined for 10 three-pointers.
Yeah.
So these dudes are the ones that are killing you. Sometimes somebody's going to say, well, if Joker going to get 50 on 2-point shots and nobody else gets theirs, I'll take it.
Well, we didn't shoot the ball very well last night from deep, and I think that's a problem. But I keep going back to the one point. We have yet to resolve the problem at the 3. Like that has to be resolved.
It's still there. Very much
still there. I don't care what.
What's wrong with Danny Green?
Well, Danny's coming off an ACL injury, and I was like, okay.
We were told he was ready to go.
Well, I guess I don't know, right?
I would have liked to have seen him last night.
And so I said,
I was hoping for that 20-point game last night.
I said,
So was I.
So here's your story.
We almost got an Evan Mobley double-double.
He played really well, though.
Well, and then
Mobley
but he only
played
got
lights
2
out.
shots in the fourth quarter.
Here's
which
what,
is a problem.
that
That's
was
a
the problem. So here's I think the discussion for the Cavs is this. We've talked about this throughout the season. For some reason, close and late, they look clunky. And in particular to me, Donovan Mitchell looks clunky. He took some bad shots. He made some bad passes. He didn't look like a closer with a killer mentality. And now, he's had moments where he has. But to me, for him to be considered that elite superstar, right now, I don't have a whole lot of confidence in him being able to put a team on his back and close them out late, and he certainly wasn't able to do it last night.
Well, I'll say this. He has the ability to do that. I think that what I see.
Consistently, Brad. Because he
The
can
pro-
do
the
it.
pro- The problem is not the problem is the consistency, but it is this. There seems to be an clunker in the scenario between he and Garland down the stretch. It's like who is doing what here, right? And then you find yourself doing things that when I'm going to close, and there's one guy closing it, then we know who's the closer, right?
Yeah.
And this,
Can a team have two closers?
it's tough. I mean, you have great players, but when I need to close it, there's typically one person closing it.
Yeah.
How did Wade and LeBron finally settle that? Because in the first year, it was obviously the chemistry was off.
Well,
once they figured it out,
Wade stepped his game down.
Instead of that's all
had
you.
to.
He had to.
Yeah.
That's all
Because you can't have two closers. The four other players have to know who we're going to here. Who
Or
we
at
setting
least
the
going
screen
through.
for, right?
At least
Who is
going
it running through?
Right.
So that when you do something crazy, like, what are you doing? That wasn't supposed to be you.
I think the closer has to be Mitchell. I think Mitchell is better equipped for it. I think he's
I
better
agree
suited.
with that.
I think he's better suited for it.
By the way, fans are starting to go crazy. I'm already starting to see people like, we shouldn't have traded for Donovan Mitchell.
Oh,
and
no,
all
that's
these
not.
Oh, that's
tweets.
stupid.
By the way,
That's stupid.
Good tweet by our guy Anthony Lima. Since November 1st, so the Cavs, you may remember, first few games in October were red hot from three.
Yeah.
Since November 1st, so this is most of the season, the Cavs are 20th in the league in three-point shots, three-point percentage. 20th in the league. During that same time, Philly's 4th, Boston 7th, Milwaukee 12th. So
That's the difference.
In this NBA, it's hard to win consistently when you're 20th in three-point
I would say
shooting.
this
Because it's a three-point game now.
Well, the three-pointer is fool's gold. It is. It's hot or cold. It's not. You're not gonna get anybody shooting a 50% clip every day. Here's the problem. The problem for us is that it would be better off if you had a solid person at the three that could do certain things, right? The three-man got to be able to score. You don't have to be just a shooter. You got to be able to score.
But part of that is what Bull's saying. You need, and to your point, last night when the Cavs did collapse on Jokic, he was able to kick out and guys were hitting their shots.
It's okay. They can do
Eventually,
that. I can go to the other end and get me a bucket. There's a reason why I was screaming for Carmelo Anthony. I'm not dumb. I know what to do. I know this game like the back of my hand, right? The guy they need is in Brooklyn. That's what they need. He's in Brooklyn. I don't care that he's 37, 38. The skill set that they need is sitting in Brooklyn, New York.
You've been consistent on that from the beginning of the season.
If you keep getting this effort from Isaac Okoro, because you look at his plus minus, he's -7 last night, 2 points.
I'm telling you, I'm ready to cut bait.
I'm done with Okoro.
I
2
am too.
points.
I said that
Minus
last week.
7.
Well,
A month ago.
he's got a role, right? He's got a defensive role, but
He's never going to be that guy,
No,
though.
but-
And
Carmelo keeps you honest. That gives Garland and Mitchell the leeway they need, right? You can't slough off of him.
No.
That means you got to shade closer to Carmelo. Guess what? That gave me an alley for Mitchell to get down the pike.
Right.
So tell me, why ain't they doing it?
Well,
Why ain't they
Well,
doing
I
it?
don't know
signing
why.
him.
I'm not in the financial
But
business
nobody's
here. I don't know
signing
why
him,
they're
Gene.
doing it.
Nobody's signing. He hasn't played
Yeah.
in over a year.
It's-
I get what you're saying.
But
They
I think
do-
it's money. The Cavs right now have
Right.
$400,000,
Yeah, they're not gonna spend
and
anymore, but
they kick into the tax.
They do need a long-term answer at that
They need a
position.
long-term
They
answer.
do- I mean, they got to do something. I don't know how
but
easy it's
get-
going to be to do.
You've
but-
got it teed up for a good run here, right? We're gonna quibble over a couple dollars.
Well, it's not.
It's not a couple
dollars.
dollars, though,
That's
if they
the
get in the
problem.
tax.
See, once
Here.
you
It's a lot
get
of
into the
dollars.
tax, Jason has explained this a number of times on the show. Once you get into that tax, it gets incredibly punitive really quickly, and it hamstrings you moving forward. So
That means you have to relieve yourself of a couple people.
well,
My guess is, though, that they didn't. That Carmelo Anthony not being signed by the Cavs has nothing to do with the money. At this point,
You
they
do?
can't.
You know-
I'm just guessing like nobody signed.
No,
him,
I'm not
right?
saying that had to
I
do
would
with
pull
that.
on that,
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Where
had to
is Carmelo on? I know he hasn't officially retired, but we haven't heard anything from him. Like,
No.
hey, I'm out here.
Listen, you remember 3 years ago when nobody wanted to sign him?
Well, now that was 3 years ago.
No, but here, nobody would touch him.
I know.
And then Portland gave him a break. And he went to Portland and did business, right?
You're right.
Then the Lakers said, let me bring
helped
you
the
over here.
Lakers.
Right. But he was sitting on the sideline. I'm saying it's worth kicking the tires.
maybe they have, and maybe they found out he's just not ready to play. I don't know.
Even though 2 days ago, someone asked Kevin Durant about a possible Melo reunion in Phoenix, and he said, "I'm talking to Melo. I'm seeing if he wants to play."
Oh, really?
That was a couple days ago. Yeah.
Well, now see, if I'm Melo, that's most likely where I would go. I would pick Phoenix over Cleveland.
I look at
and he's
it.
really good friends with Chris Paul, too.
I know.
The problems with the Cavs at 3 is this: they got 4 dudes with they're only good at one thing, and they can't combine them like a transporter. Jetty is good in open court, gives you energy, and can bounce around a little bit. He can hit an open 3 occasionally. You got Stevenson, who's a bulldog. He gives you grit. He gives you a little defensive prowess. He's a guy that brings that attitude to the table. Isaac Okoro can defend. He can move his feet. He's athletic. And then the last guy is Karis LeVert. He can get hot. He can shoot. He can probably get you 50 if he's on. But if he's off, he's going to be disappearing. And all of those things, if you combine them into one player, they'd be great.
The problem, G, is none of those guys, and LeVert's the best player of the 4.
Yes.
But none of those guys are starting players on a good team.
No.
Right? I mean, the only one who could be a starting player, period, is LeVert. The other guys aren't starters at all, shouldn't be.
No.
But even LeVert, you don't want him starting on a good team. Like, he's like a bench guy, and they don't have – it seems silly to complain because their other 4 starters are all high-level players.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about here, though, when you're talking about where they are, which is upper tier, to being a true contender, and they're not, but to be a true contender, you've got to be complete. You can't have a hole because, to your point, in a 7-game series, where's that hole? They're going to exploit it.
Going to exploit it.
A good coach is going to know it and exploit it right away. And right now, the Cavs' hole, and I didn't know those numbers, Bull. That's a great stat.
And
we know this to be a 3-point shooting game.
Yeah.
We know that. You can't be 20th in the league in 3-point shooting and be a contender today. It's impossible.
Well, this is what you're going to find out in these last 20-plus games. These are primarily a lot of you're going to see your share of playoff contending teams, right? And they're going to find a way to pick and prod, exploit your weakness because they may see you in the playoff, right? And so they're going to test all their theories right now.
Yeah.
To see exactly. You won't see it for 48 minutes.
They're going to try things out, though.
They're going to try things out
and they'll file that away and say, okay, when we see you later in the playoffs, we're going back to our file. What worked?
Test this today.
I'll tell you,
by the way, Pat Riley is, and I know Spoelstra's the coach, but as long as Pat Riley's in the organization.
Well, but Spoelstra's a great coach, too.
He's become a great coach.
And I want, to me, it has zero to do with Kevin Love, but I want nothing to do with the Heat just because they're a playoff tested team. They have experience.
Well, I want nothing to do with them because the Riley Spoelstra combination can be deadly to a team that's actually better than them.
They proved that.
They have proven that.
I want to see if JB is smart enough to understand this, right? When you watch the Cavs, you can hide a few things. They're not at their peak potential, and you're not going to be able to possibly get a 3 right now. So what you're looking to do is, if you're JB, you have to look at your offense and say, where are we bogging down? Where are we getting tied up? And when you look at, your guards and Darius Garland, he's doing good. He's doing good when he's distributing the basketball. The problem is you have a night where Evan Mobley is really, they can't guard him down there. He was giving Joker fits the whole night. And so, JB,
dunks.
And he's being aggressive. I would have loved to see JB say, hey, guys, here's what we're going to do. Joker is going to get his on the offensive end, but we need to make him play defense too. We're going to keep getting the ball to Mobley. He's doing a good job finishing, and you guys be ready to shoot. Inside out, going inside out. I think the Cavs, if you're going to have those 2 bigs down low, they got to almost revert their game to the way the game was played back in the day. If you got 2 bigs that can move, that can score, if you don't want them to shoot all them threes, slow the pace of the game down, make sure Mobley get a touch, make sure Allen get a touch, play inside, outside. And I know that's not the conventional way, but to me, that's the only way they're going to be able to contend with some of these other teams that play a fast pace.
And we're going to have a good week because Isaiah was in conversation with him yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's coming on here. We're trying to make it happen Monday.
Nice.
So he's going to let me know today.
That's great.
Because I want you to hear his take on it, right? Because he sees all these guys. There's enough stuff for NBA TV and analyst stuff. But I want you to know his take because you have a guy when he went to Detroit, he was running the show, right? And they were decent, but as they started accumulating pieces, Isaiah had to step his game down to allow Dumars to come forward and Aguirre to come forward.
Lambeer.
And Lambeer
Well,
to
you know
come
what? Let me
forward.
ask you this, because I've always wondered this from a distance, and I've talked to Isaiah before, but I've never asked him this, but I thought the thing he didn't get enough credit for was he seemed to have that innate ability to watch something for a minute and then shuffle the deck and figure out how they best go. He knew versus each opponent which of his other teammates was going to be the key that night. So he could change gears from 3 different guys. Monday night, it might be Lambeer. Wednesday night, maybe it's this one. But he had that ability, I always thought. And I don't know if that's something he worked on or if he spent a lot of time in looking at film and figuring out the opposition.
He's just a very intelligent.
He was a savant.
He's just a very intelligent guy, on and off the floor. Basketball-wise, he's a very intelligent guy. And then his ability to understand the scenarios and situations, I got to feel like some of it had to do with him being at Indiana, right? And
under Bobby.
And getting some tutelage from Bob Knight. And then understanding being able to process things quickly, right? And say, what do I need to do here? Because he could transform himself. The other thing was, he was the closer for the Pistons.
Yeah.
Even though it took down a step down role.
I think that's because he was the biggest star, too. That was obvious.
But down the stretch, if you needed something, they knew it was going through Isaiah.
Yeah.
Right? And he might have not been the leading scorer, but you knew it was going through him because he had the ability to close. That's why I say when Mitchell, he has the ability to close, you have to recognize that. And sometimes when you're in that, you have to step your game down just a bit. Don't mean that you're an inferior player, but this helps us win today.
And team building is another thing. When you look at the old Pistons, I got down in the YouTube time machine about a week ago looking at the way teams mix up. When you look at this, the Pistons had Adrian Dantley.
Yeah.
And he was a stone cold scorer. They took Adrian Dantley, moved him off that team, and then
put
Vinny Aguirre in. Mark Aguirre. Vinny Johnson, Mark Aguirre. I always get them mixed up. I can only combine them. But then, guess what? They took off. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, why would you trade one of the greatest?
Well, Zeke was here. Right? Zeke was behind that because he was like, he saw this thing with Dantley was not going to work. And they were like, and Dantley they loved Dantley in Detroit.
They did.
Like, you got to go. Yeah. And I would go get my boy Mark, right? Because Mark brought a different thing. You didn't have
That was Zeke?
Yeah. You didn't. They were buddies, right? And so, I mean, he was the one vouching for Mark, right?
Sure.
Because Mark was having some difficulty in Dallas.
Right.
Right. So he had to vouch for him. But you didn't. With AD, you had to kind of feed AD all the time at a very slow pace.
He was a volume shooter and needed the points.
Right. And so this the other way you didn't have to do it. But you have to have people that understand how to get their games going.
Guys, do we?
McNuggets
go ahead,
take care of it.
We don't have Charles yet.
Yeah.
If you want to text him, Brad, I just sent him another email with the link. So
Okay.
he should have that. But while we're waiting, we're going to get the BetJack read, and we're going to play a little NBA quiz here. And hopefully Charles joins us in a minute. But first, this NBA quiz is brought to us by BetJack. Hey, UCSS fans looking to get the ultimate sportsbook? Well, sports betting is now live in Ohio. You can download the BetJack app today so you can have skin in every game, anywhere, anytime. It's BetJack, Ohio's official sportsbook.
Mike, before the quiz, I want to ask the guys a question real quick, or just a rapid-fire answer so we can get to Mike's quiz. If the Cavs lose in the first round, do you think JB should be fired?
I think you look at it.
Guys?
I think you look at it.
I don't think so. I think he's done a good enough job this year. I just think that the fact is you have to you have a hole here. It's a significant hole, and it has to be corrected. Right?
Yeah.
For you to get a full assessment of what's going on here.
G, firing JB if they lose in the first round.
It all depends on what it looked like. Let's
say they lose in 5 or get swept. I mean,
I got to look at it then.
If Dan Gilbert was still in power, he'd be gone if they lost in the first round.
Hey,
he's still in power. He's
but he's
involved.
not. Right.
If he watched this and wanted to change, there would be a change.
Hey, I can't do no gentleman sweeps, no 4-1s.
No gentleman sweeps.
No.
If they get embarrassed in the first round, you got to think about it.
Or if it's a close one, you go into next year and then you start, like Brad said, hey, you got to think about spending money. You got to think.
Well, next year they'll probably go over the cap, I would assume. Although Kevin Love's money comes off the books and Jetty's money comes off the books.
Does Karis LeVert's money come off the books?
No, I don't think so.
I thought Karis has one more year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he does.
All right, let's get to your quiz there, Mikey.
What are we doing? What is the quiz?
This is an NBA quiz, but I'm looking up Karis LeVert's contract real quick just to
I think he has another
clarify that. He has, according to Sport Track, no, this is last season. He's a free agent after the season.
Well,
so that's a third player.
Money does come off the book.
So
that's what, like 50, 60 million
That's
off
a lot
the cap?
of. That's a lot of bread.
30 alone.
That's a lot of bread.
And LeVert's 18, close to 19. But I do believe, and Jason said this on the show, so this is not breaking news, but the Cavs plan to re-sign LeVert. Like they see him in their long-term future.
I don't get that.
I don't either.
He not that ain't. I know you got to have somebody coming off the bench. If they got the money to keep him, okay, cool, whatever. But they need a 3. They have to go out and get a bona fide 3. And
it's not gonna be easy to do, obviously.
yeah, because they don't have much trade options. Man, that's a.
We should one of these days look up who the best 3s are available in free
It's
agency.
a very weak free agency class, just to FYI.
All right.
So,
All right,
so this
here
is
we
the
go.
quiz based off the first half of the NBA season and
Okay.
some things that we have found. We just figured with the second half of the season starting last night. Let's go back and review. It should only take 5 minutes. I thought we'd do it quickly, but
Here we go.
We're waiting on Charles, so we could have a little fun with this. We're going to answer as a unit here, by the way. So
Okay.
you guys all talk
Oh,
about it. We'll
okay.
give an
Group
answer as a
answer.
group.
Group answer.
Are you guys ready?
I think
We
so.
are ready.
Question number 1, Steve. Take it. Which 2 NBA teams, and it's only 2, currently have 3 players averaging 20-plus points per game? What 2 teams?
Does Philly? Which?
Who's the third guy on Philly? Oh, maybe what's his name?
players
The kid
currently
from
have
New York.
3 players.
Tobias Harris. No.
No. 3 over 20.
Does Boston have a third guy averaging
I would
20?
guess Boston just because.
But who
where
would be
they
their
are.
third guy?
It's not Boston, I'll tell you.
Ain't
Boston
Boston.
doesn't even have
Denver.
3
They don't have
averaging
3 guys
15.
averaging.
You know what? We might want to start thinking about teams that aren't very good.
Right. Is you got
Am I right?
New Orleans?
It is not New Orleans.
Am I right though, McNuggets?
I think it's
Memphis?
no,
These are 2 teams I never would have guessed.
I think it's
Okay.
Atlanta.
It's a good guess.
Memphis?
no.
Could be.
I don't think it's Memphis.
3 guys.
Put it this way, if I had to put my life money on this before I looked it up,
Yeah.
I would have lost very.
So it's got to be bad teams.
Charlotte.
Charlotte is correct.
Charlotte?
Wow.
Yeah.
Ready?
See,
LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, and Kelly Oubre.
Oh my
All
God.
average.
I never.
what's Charlotte's
team.
record right now?
Not good.
No, I know, but what are they? 18 wins?
NBA standings, the
Wait.
Charlotte. There's another team, by the way.
Are all 3 guys still on the team right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
Charlotte's 17 and 43.
Oh,
Mike,
my
are
God.
all 3 guys still on
Yes.
the team?
Sorry,
Sucks.
Mike.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a third guy with LeBron and Anthony
Oh
Davis?
wow, this might be it. Is
Utah?
it the Jazz?
It is not the Jazz.
I thought I was going to say the Jazz. Sacramento?
Phoenix.
You might as well name them all. Clip joint.
You ready?
What about the clip
Yeah,
joint?
go ahead, give it to
The
us.
Washington Wizards.
God, who
Yeah.
is that?
So I
Bradley
guess.
Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kyle Kuzma.
So it's on teams
Wow.
where guys are just collecting points.
Pulling
That's
up.
the Sixers have Maxey, who averages 19, and
Okay.
then Harden
'Cause
and
I thought
Embiid.
for sure Philly, if there
They
was,
were close,
well,
yeah.
Can we get Kyle Kuzma?
No.
Kuzma would be a great fit.
Hey,
would
I'd
be a
take
great
Kuzma
fit.
tomorrow.
Take that shooter, man.
He makes a lot of money though.
Yeah, okay.
And these are all tough, by the way. These are just some random facts about the season.
Yeah, that's really tough.
At least
Yeah,
we got.
I would not have got that. I asked my buddies who are all big NBA fans. The most anyone got was 4 or 5. So this is a tough quiz. All right, next question. Only 3 players in NBA history, and one of them is this year, have recorded 500-plus assists and 500-plus rebounds before the All-Star break. Who are they?
Jokic?
Yeah,
Jokic
definitely
is correct.
Jokic.
Mike, text me that link.
Yeah, I got you right now, Brad.
LeBron?
Incorrect.
500 assists and 500 rebounds.
Russell Westbrook.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
That's Westbrook is
Magic?
one. Oscar Robertson
There you go. That is
Oscar.
number 3.
Yeah, you got to think triple-double machines.
and Magic.
No, we got 3.
You got all
We got
3.
three.
It
We
was
got all 3.
Oscar Robertson, Brad. I'm texting you a link
Jokic,
right now.
Robertson. Well, those are the 3 triple-double guys.
Yeah.
You know, that's the collection right there.
Actually, to be truthful though, like I would, you could put Luka in there too. Like Luka.
Luka's coming up in a different question. Don't
Yeah.
worry. Are you ready for question 3?
Yeah.
And this question is actually a tiny bit outdated because he had his 22nd triple-double last night. How many of the 22 triple-doubles has Nikola Jokic recorded? How many games have the Nuggets won?
I'm gonna say,
How would we possibly know that exactly?
as a guess, I'm gonna say
Like at least the other
two-thirds of them.
At least
14.
the other 2 questions
Listen,
were.
I
are
wouldn't ask this if
reasonable.
it was like 14 and 8.
I'll say all of them.
You're correct. They are 22 and
Good job,
0.
Bull.
When Nikola Jokic has recorded a triple-double,
Yeah.
including last night. We made these earlier this week.
Wow.
He did
Bro,
record a
just look at
triple-double
that
last
picture.
night.
If you took that
Yeah, I
picture to
know.
100 NBA fans and said, "Is this the best player in the league?"
Oh yeah, right.
Like, cover up his face, cover up his jersey and number, just show the body. Be
It's,
like,
you know,
He looks like a guy playing rec ball with Mikey.
At the Y.
He's really pushing the envelope of what you consider to be good. Like it's messing with your perception. Like
No, he is good.
No,
he's not good, he's
undeniable.
great.
No.
good.
He's super dope.
he's gonna win his 3rd straight MVP.
But when you look at the 3rd straight MVP, it messes with you because you go back in your mind in your Rolodex and say, did Shaq do that? They're like, no. Did LeBron do?
Did Jordan do that?
Did
I think, no, Jordan. It's Larry
Jordan,
Bird.
Bird.
Jordan did not do it. Bird, Chamberlain, we did this
We
last
did today.
week.
Bird, Chamberlain, Wilt.
4 guys.
Right? Bird, Chamberlain, Wilt. Or Russell. I'll look it up again after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
LeBron
Russell
hasn't done it,
definitely
Jordan
won
But
hasn't
three in a
done
you
it.
can, at the end of the season when he pulls off that feat, you can show the picture of Jordan,
Yeah.
LeBron, and Jokic and say which of these 3.
This is crazy.
Yeah,
has
but
won 3
it's a
straight-
joke that LeBron and Jordan did not win 3
It was
straight.
voter
It is.
bias
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fatigue for sure.
And it's also a joke that Kobe also won 1 MVP in his
yeah, no,
career.
that is really
That's
egregious.
ridiculous.
All right, Bull, you actually alluded to this question earlier. I'm glad he didn't give it away. You may know the answer here. The Warriors make the most threes per game as a team, 16.9.
I don't know.
Which team makes the fewest? And as Bull alluded to, the Cavs are 20th. They make 11.4. I'll tell you, I won't tell you what team, but whoever it is only makes 10.9 threes per game.
Okay, so the teams,
It's got to be a bad team.
they're going to be a bad team. They're going to be a really bad team.
They are currently right on the fringe of the play-in game.
Lakers.
Incorrect. The Lakers are 28th.
Damn, I knew the Lakers.
It's a great guess, though.
Yeah,
They're
the Lakers
28th.
are horrible shooting the 3. So they're currently on the fringe.
And this is in the West, right?
They didn't say that.
He said, tried to trick him. He tried to trick you. He tried to trick you.
Hold on.
Let me see. Not Atlanta.
Would you like a hint?
Miami?
East or West?
It is East, an Eastern Conference team.
It can't be Detroit.
It is not Detroit.
No,
Miami?
They're not on the fringe.
It is not Miami. They're all near the bottom. Those are all
Pacers.
good guesses. No, Pacers make a lot of threes.
A whole lot of threes.
I'll give you a hint. Someone on this panel may have played for this team.
Oh, okay.
The Bulls?
The Chicago Bulls make 10.9 threes per game. They shoot the most mid-range and long twos of
Oh,
any
yeah,
team.
DeRozan.
DeRozan is
DeRozan
the
and
mid-
Levine.
he's
Right,
the
right,
mid-tier
right,
guy.
right,
DeRozan, they don't shoot a lot of threes,
That's
and
right.
they make
No
even
jump.
fewer.
Bird, Wilt, and Russell, by the way, the guys who won
Bird,
3
Wilt,
in a row.
Russell. So 3 guys have done it.
And this is gonna mess with. We keep going back to Joker because we can't believe it. If you was to ask a person, he got 3 MVPs. But if I told Brad, I said, all right, is Joker a top 10 big man of all time? He would be hard pressed to make it.
Hard press.
And he thinking about it.
Hard
And he
press.
got 3 MVPs.
If he wins a title, though, it changes that whole perception of it.
Does it?
Yes, it would.
No, it
if he wins a
doesn't.
title,
And he still has to do it for
No,
long.
no,
he
it-
hasn't
I
even
agree,
gotten
I
to.
agree.
No,
has
it-
he even
no,
gotten to
it-
a
no, it-
conference final?
No,
Yeah,
it
one,
doesn't.
but it was the bubble year.
No,
that
it
doesn't count.
no, it doesn't.
Ewing,
Ewing,
Robinson.
keep going.
You could go Karl Malone.
Well, just start
You
with
said the big man.
Kareem.
Well, you want to go?
Yeah,
so
just start
big
with
one.
Kareem, Wilt,
Russell,
Shaq,
Shaq.
He's not making it.
That's 5 right there.
He's not
Robinson.
He's not
David
making
Robinson
it. He's not
is
making
6.
it.
Patrick Ewing is 7.
Wait, hold on. I think you could make the case with Patrick Ewing.
I think you can make the case with Patrick
Okay,
Ewing,
you
too.
can make that case.
I think you could. If you looked at their career numbers, now obviously Ewing did it for a long time, but
And very different types of
he
players.
does everything well.
The game's so different now than when Patrick.
It'd be
Ewing
hard. So it's the misnomer. Like, if
Hey,
he
Brad,
come-
next week, let's make a list. You and me will get together. We'll make our top
Yeah.
10 bigs of all time.
All right.
David Robinson was the big fundamental, right?
Yes.
No, that was Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan.
Duncan.
Let's call Jokic the white fundamental. He does everything really well. He does. It's not pretty.
Elite. Yeah. No, he's elite at all of them.
Oh, yeah, elite.
He's an elite
elite.
passer. His best trait is his passing.
He's elite.
We need to do that list because there's.
I think he might make the back end of the top 10.
Are we separating power forwards and big men?
No, I think.
No, just call it just the.
Well, then
bigs.
you'd have to put Karl Malone.
Then you got Karl Malone. Then you got Tim Duncan. You got KG.
And listen, you could argue Jokic
Dirk.
is better than Malone.
Dirk.
He's not better than Dirk yet. He's not better than Dirk.
Is he better than KG?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
KG was.
He's gonna have 3 MVP. Like, I know different eras, and it's impossible to compare apples to apples. It's really apples to oranges.
3 straight MVPs.
He's gonna have 3 straight MVPs, and that has to count for something.
It does, right? It does.
Because KG never won it. He won 1 MVP.
I mean, Steve Nash won 2 MVPs. You taking him over Kobe?
No, Steve Nash don't even break the top. That's the
Steve
thing.
Nash is the top 5 point guard.
Yeah.
Steve Nash, a top 5 point guard of all time?
I think
I
he's
don't know
number
about
5.
that.
On my list, he's number 5.
Who's your top 4?
Magic, Isaiah,
Yeah.
Got to throw Oscar in there.
Oscar,
John
Steph.
Stockton.
No,
No.
give me Steph Curry over John Stockton, and then
You're
give me
putting
Steve
Steve Nash over John Stockton?
Yes,
I wouldn't.
No,
No.
yes.
No.
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 not even close.
Steve was.
And then
filthy,
if you put Steph Curry in there, it's a problem. You already got 5.
That's my 5. Yeah, Steve Nash is 5. I don't have John Stockton in my top 5.
Come on, you got to keep Stockton. He got more assists than everybody in the history of the game.
That's
by
fine.
a lot.
By it's incredible.
He
All
averaged
right, what's
13
your next
points a game
question?
for his career.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
last question here. Luka Doncic is currently averaging 50.3 total points, rebounds, and assists per game. So you average his 3 together. Who is the only player to average more than that for an entire season since the ABA-NBA merger?
Did Russell Westbrook do it?
Yes, he did.
All right.
That is the correct answer.
Great.
He averaged in his 2017 MVP season 52.6
Man.
combined
Damn.
points, assists, and rebounds.
It's
per
a,
game.
it's a shame. It's a shame people they don't respect his game.
You know
Never
what though?
won.
There could be.
it's crazy.
There could be a rising of the ashes though,
Yes, it could be.
because I think the situation there. We talk about Deshaun Watson and the mental aspect. Can he get over that hurdle? I think Russell cares what people think about him, and he quickly became the villain in why the Lakers sucked.
Yeah, like-
and that was because LeBron was weaving that narrative.
It was like,
And I thought that I just can't imagine that we saw a player
Yeah,
do
but he wasn't
something
even that highly respected even before that.
the hell he wasn't.
He
The year he
wasn't.
did that in
He never won,
2017.
though.
The year he did that in 2017 or
17, 16, 17 season.
Okay, when the year he did that, I mean, guys.
But he's always been thought of as a selfish player. That
well,
he's just
I'm not talking
No.
about like the winning and losing. I'm just talking about
Yeah.
like his stock as a player. When he averaged a triple double for the season,
Yeah,
he
sure.
was the top of the heap.
he's been misjudged. People believe he's part of that era where everybody like to say empty stats. All those are empty stats. Anytime you do that on the court, he was playing for teams that had no shot. Oklahoma City, after Durant and everybody else left, no shot to win. He was keeping them dudes involved. Westbrook, if you ask any single person in the locker room what they think about it, they say he's going to show up every day. He's going
Plays
to play
hard.
his ass off.
Every 48 minutes.
And he's going to give you everything he got.
Well,
And
he's got his first game tonight for the Clippers. So.
Yeah, I
We
can't
go-
wait to see.
By the
it.
way, somebody we embarrassingly left out with big men is Charles Barkley.
Well, see, we
Well,
was
see,
going
I thought we were
power
doing
forward.
strictly
big men.
big
bigs.
men. Big
Well,
men.
he's a power forward.
Like, yeah, I wouldn't want to throw power forward into
Because-
that mix because now
Now
it's like
you're diluting it.
yeah, and you're talking about okay, we'll name the best guards.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
now you got different categories going there.
So yeah, yeah.
You know, by the way, a guy who you played against, who I always thought was one of the most underrated big men of all time because he played with so many great players, was the Chief, Robert Parrish.
I didn't play with him, but I mean, I played against him.
Yeah, in his era.
I meant to say
Yeah,
against
but
him.
no,
If I
but
didn't-
Chief was a beast.
He was awesome.
Oh yeah,
bro.
he was tough.
But you know, you
He
had
tough.
McHale and Bird and so
He's
many
tough.
good players.
Third
there.
all time in the games played.
Yeah, he was an awesome player.
Do you know who's an underrated all-time big, by the way? And not necessarily that top 10 tier, but
Yeah, neither.
in the grand
same thing
scheme
for
of things,
Parrish.
Pau Gasol was unbelievable for a really,
Well,
really,
I'm
really
gonna throw
long
you a
time.
name. I'm gonna throw you a name that he was tough. Bill Walton was tough.
Yeah, he dealt
just
with
didn't
some
play
injuries.
long
Yeah,
enough.
but
He dealt with injuries, but
I'm gonna tell you what.
Jay, when he came back with the Celtics, he was still tough.
Yeah.
He was tough. I was like, man. And you seeing him on with a bad wheel.
Yeah,
and I was like.
And he was a sixth man by that point.
In college, he was like the best
And I was,
player.
but hold on,
College,
those
he
first
was
few
dominant
years
in
in Portland?
Portland, he
Oh,
was
it was
great, yeah.
Crazy good in Portland.
It makes you change the way you think about it because they put Yao Ming in the Hall of Fame, right? So Yao Ming didn't play that well. Didn't play that long.
He was a great player, too.
But he was a great player. And if you say Marc Gasol, I could argue Marc Gasol and Pau Gasol, that's a very even matchup. I don't know which one I would say is better. I know Pau got to play with Kobe and got some rings, but Marc Gasol was 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So, I think all of those dudes will make the Hall of Fame because you don't got to do too much. You ain't got to. But
There should just be an NBA Hall of Fame, not a basketball Hall of Fame. I don't know.
I agree with you. All right.
We're going to promote memberships here. Still no Charles. We do have Justin Lada in a sec. So what we're going to do here is do a little pivot. I'm going to do a membership read. We're going to bring on Justin. We'll talk a little Guardians. If Charles joins us at any point, we'll bring Charles into the conversation. But
Okay.
if you guys aren't a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, what are you waiting for? For $1.99 a month, you can be a starters tier member. You get loyalty badges, custom emojis to use in the chat, members-only community posts for $4.99 a month, less than $5 a month, less than $60 a year. You can become a coaches tier member. You get all those same starter tier perks, plus overtime videos, member shout-outs. You can text with Jason and certain members of the team during Cavs games and other events. You get discount codes for merch. Steve Becker says we forgot Moses Malone. We did forget Moses Malone.
It's funny because I was
Absolutely
just
top
looking
five.
at Hoops Hype did a list of top 10, top 20 centers of all time.
Yeah.
And they had Moses Malone number 8. They actually have Jokic at 12.
Probably
when
done
was that?
before this
Wes
season.
Unseld was 11, and by the way, Robert Parrish was 13.
Was it done before this season?
Let's see. It's from beginning of this, right before the season. Willis Reed too.
Because
If
I
you
think
win
he's
3,
gonna-
I'm telling you, it puts you at a different level.
and I think he's going to win 3. I think he's deserving of this third one. Whether
He's
or not
playing
he
good
gets it.
basketball.
Yeah.
Absolutely is.
And we got Justin Lada. And real quick, I'm getting roasted on the chat for the Steve Nash take. If anyone wants to go head-to-head, I'll go head-to-head. Steve Nash is absolutely a top 5 point guard. We got Justin Lada now of the Guardians, Locked On Guardians podcast host. What's up, Justin? How you doing, man?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Justin was an intern at the radio station years ago, right, Justin?
I was. It's been 10 years now. Hard to believe, right?
How was Bull as a boss?
I wasn't his boss. I mean, I don't know.
Well, did you work with
Yeah,
Bull?
I was on with Baskin and Phelps in the afternoon, but I ran into Bull occasionally. It was always good to see him in there.
Good. Treated you well?
No, I was probably
Absolutely.
It's horrible.
Hey, what's your number? Well, let's go right in for the where the rubber meets the road here. What's your number of wins? I think conventional wisdom seems to be somewhere between 85 and 90. What do you think of that?
I think the number I've seen has been 87, and we've been telling people to bet the over on that. So I would say over 87 at least.
So tell us why, because one of the reasons I think the number is so low, because when you look at what they did last year, I think on that alone, and based on they upgraded some of their weaknesses, and most of the major pieces are back, you would think that number went up. But my theory on why it's where it is because the experts are fearful that what they did last year is going to be difficult to duplicate. You know, first year to second year success.
And another part of it is the schedule has changed.
The schedule's different.
So
they
there's
don't,
not
they
as
no
many
longer have
games
the
against the
19
Royals and
games
Tigers,
or whatever
yeah.
against their. But what do you think about why it's as low as it is?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Jay. I think that has to do with the fact that it's going to be hard to repeat. I've said multiple times that when you rely on contact as your offense, there's a lot of potential for random variance there. Now, hopefully, how they've changed the shift and the rules with that might help them out a little bit. But you also have a lot of young and inexperienced players. I mean, we've only seen Oscar Gonzalez for about a half a season. That was Andres Jimenez's breakout year. There are some people who are fearful that, he could regress a little bit. And for the most part, they were relatively healthy last year. I think Oscar Gonzalez spent time in the IL. Obviously, Jose Ramirez had a thumb issue throughout the year, at least the second half. Hopefully him coming back healthy this year offsets whatever potential regression is there. And then, they didn't get anything out of the catcher spot last year. Hopefully they will this year, but Mike Zunino's coming off an injury. And then as Adam said, the schedule has changed. You're not playing 19 games within the schedule within the AL Central anymore, and the AL Central looks as bad as it has been. So now you've got to play a lot of other better teams, especially when you're talking about, American League East teams, National League East teams, the Dodgers, things like that. So I think there's a lot of reason for people to be skeptical about it, but I do think they have the pieces to at least improve on last season or match their win total.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. And I would just assume that the White Sox will be better this year, too. I mean, maybe with a new manager. I mean, who knows? You never know from year to year. I think the Twins will be better. I think the Royals...
White Sox lost a big piece, though.
Losing Abreu, sure, but they had a lot of injuries last year. They had a ton of injuries.
And I don't think they loved La Russa. Do you think that was a factor in why they performed so poorly last year?
I think they might improve win total just without having Tony La Russa. I do. I think there was something to that. But they also improved other places, too. I still don't think the White Sox are the biggest threat to the Guardians. I've been saying for a couple of years it's been the Twins, and I sort of haven't been right on that yet, but one of these years I will be, and I think the Twins have pulled above the White Sox. But, both of them were in the race until the end last season, so a new manager and a new vibe in Chicago certainly could change things around for them.
Justin, let's talk about we talked about the new additions there a little bit. Josh Bell. Well, I think there's another gear to his game. How good do you think he's going to be this year?
Yeah, you want him to get to more power, right? I mean, he's had a 37 home run season under his belt. I don't know if he'll ever get back to that level. He was on a good path last season in Washington before the trade, and then things really went south for him in San Diego, and I'm not quite sure why, but I think he'll at least improve on what he did last year. I think, like you said, there is another gear to his game. He's proven there's another gear to his game. He's been a good hitter, and he was a top prospect way back when. So I think he fits in very well with this lineup, too. He's a guy who can take his walks, which, for as contact-oriented as this team was a year ago, they didn't draw a lot of walks. They were very reliant on that contact. So I think between Bell's power and patience and the fact that he also does not strike out, I think fits this lineup perfectly. And I think if he has Jose Ramirez on base in front of him, that's going to be good for him.
I am disappointed, though, that the Guardians didn't do anything with the pitching staff. I mean, to rely on Savali and Plesac in the back of the rotation, I would have loved to see them go out and spend a little money on a veteran starting pitcher that's more reliable. Even Quantrill, I'm not that comfortable with Quantrill pitching in the playoffs. I'd like them to have a steady, solid veteran that you're comfortable throwing as your third or fourth starter in the playoffs, and I'm disappointed they didn't do that. Are you worried about that?
Yeah, in some ways I'm not. So the reasons I'm worried, I agree with you. I think ideally, and this is not a slight to Cal Quantrill, had a great season last year and kind of defies, projections and other metrics. But I think you'd be more comfortable with him maybe starting your fourth game and not relying what maybe happened with Aaron Savali and Zach Plesac in the ALDS against the Yankees. I think ideally you'd find someone to slot in behind Tristan McKenzie and really improve yourself, because look what the Yankees went on. They added Carlos Rodon, and I know they've got injury issues in the rotation, but I think they just need that third starter right behind Bieber and McKenzie. And of course you have to worry about Bieber's, impending free agency in 2 years. I don't know that spending money on a free agent starter would have made sense for this team, but finding maybe a path or a trade, we've talked about a lot how many prospects this team has, and can they cash in on some of those and kind of rework their 40-man roster. That trade didn't pan out, whether it was for a hitter or a pitcher. I don't know if that trade even existed for them. But on the other hand, if they can find a way to work some of these young pitchers into the rotation, if they can keep Cody Morris healthy, maybe get him into a rotation spot, a couple other guys, Daniel Espino is now hurt, unfortunately. I don't know if he'll be able to be a factor in the rotation this year. You've got Logan Allen in the minors who could be a factor this year. A number of pitching prospects who could be a factor. So if they can improve internally using their pitching prospects, maybe that's an alternate avenue for success in the rotation, although you'd be depending on more young players like you did a year ago, which is, always risky.
Well, Justin, that's what they've done. They've pulled up these pitching prospects, and somehow they all seem to, strike gold. I was looking at the odds yesterday for the American League Cy Young, and I was a little bit surprised that I think Bieber was 9th in the American League. But I got to tell you, I love Bieber, I do, but I think the guy that's being overlooked in this race is Tristan McKenzie. I look at his stuff and his record last year. His record should have been far better. I think he was 11-11. His ERA was sub 3. He's a swing and miss pitcher. I'm going to take him as my dark horse to win the American League Cy Young this year because I think he's got Cy Young stuff right now, and he's only getting better.
I think dark horse is a really good word to describe it. Last season was really his first full, healthy, consistent season. He was, healthy all of 2021, but had a bunch of inconsistencies throughout the year, had to go back to the minors. Last year, he was good throughout the year, didn't go back to the minors, and he stayed healthy. He had health issues in the minors as well, but now he's got that 190 inning season under his belt. He knows his stuff is good. He knows he can get anybody out. He pitched great in that game against the Rays. Not such a good performance against the Yankees, but something he can learn from. I agree. I think if he can maintain what he did last year and maybe hopefully take a step forward, stay healthy and continue on the path that he's been on, I agree. He's somebody you could talk about as a down ballot contender for Cy Young, and that would be great for this team.
Justin, I'm a fringe guy. I'm going to go to the ballpark, a few times a year, pull them up on my Bally's app as long as that lasts. Who knows how that's going to work out. But the fringe guys, we be asking, y'all, this team and a lot of baseball people be really coveting these prospects. Now, my question is, are these prospects going to show up and play sometime this year? Or are they just going to sit there and be prospects, or we're going to trade them for somebody else? So, these guys rave about this Espino guy. He's hurt, right?
He re-injured his arm. Yeah.
So he's out of here. Gavin Williams, is he going to be up this year anytime? No?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Okay. Tanner Bibby, is he a guy he's good? Or?
I mean, he's good.
Good, but I don't think there's plans for him this year, Justin, unless I'm wrong. I mean, what do you think?
I've been kind of trying to say for a few weeks now that I think Tanner Bibby could force his way up this season. It would be difficult. They have a lot of 40-man roster issues to work through before it could happen, and they have guys in front of him. But to me, Tanner Bibby might be the best pitching prospect in the system when you factor in stuff and health as well. Health is a factor here.
Right.
Lord, you got a lot of second basemen / shortstops.
I think that's why a lot of people were disappointed they didn't make a big trade this offseason. It's what Justin alluded to, why he suggested, instead of me suggesting go sign a veteran pitcher, maybe they should have traded for somebody instead, because they do. I mean, first of all, they called up 1 million prospects. They have 17 guys make their major league debut last year, and now they still got a ton of young kids. They can't keep them all. That's why they've basically given away Will Benson and Nolan Jones over the past 6 months for free. And so it is a little surprising that they haven't made a significant move, and why, Justin, I think they still might, hopefully, whether it's now or at the trade deadline.
Yeah, you hope something emerges at the trading deadline. I mean, one pitcher that people have really kind of talked about is Corbin Burns from the Brewers. He had a ugly arbitration battle with his team. He's not happy with them and how they went about that. And he's a free agent in 2 years. That makes things complicated because he's on the same free agency timeline as Shane Bieber, and who knows if they'll pull that off. But they have the prospects to essentially trade for anybody. It's just a matter if that trade exists for them. They went hard after, well, I don't know if say hard, but they were interested in Sean Murphy of Oakland and didn't get that done because they didn't want to give up whatever Oakland was asking for, or there wasn't a match there. But teams have to be also interested in their prospects, and they also have to be willing to meet Cleveland's price. As we've heard before, Cleveland is sometimes difficult to deal with in terms of trades.
They're trying to fleece everybody.
Because they do fleece everybody. I would be hesitant to do a trade with the Guardians because I would be asking this, what am I missing?
Yeah.
I'm missing something. I don't know what it is, because their track record has been really, really good. Justin, the changes are going to be really interesting to see a couple of things. A, how they all impact pace of play and the length of game. But the other thing that I'm really fascinated about is what the shift is going to do. How much more offense will we see because of it? And Bull has made this point, and I agree with him, that the shift should benefit the Guardians more than the average team. Do you agree with that? And if so, why?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it should benefit them quite a bit. I think you saw a lot of times last year guys playing deep in right field for like Josh Naylor. Jose Ramirez obviously has been getting hit with this for a long time. Even Stephen Kwan got shifted on at times last year. Josh Bell has been a guy who's been shifted a lot in his career. So those guys should all see improvements in their game this year. But, the shift isn't totally banned. It just changes how people are allowed to maneuver their infield. So I still think teams will be creative in finding ways to position their players to make up for things. But, yeah, I think that you have a high-contact team. You have a lot of players who have had some success hurt buy the shift in the past, and now you take that away. I think some guys here should benefit from that.
Thanks, Justin. We appreciate it, man.
Yep, good job, brother. We'll talk soon, all right? Enjoy the season.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I think part of the reason, I mean, the Guardians are a put the ball in play team.
They are.
They're not a home run hitting team. So if you put the ball in play and you can't shift as much, it should help you.
Has that style been success? We talk about it in football all the time. Is it a run or is it a pass? Can you win with defense? Can you win playing baseball games hitting the contact? Has it ever happened?
I'll give you the answer. In the modern game, no. They absolutely can't win a World Series with the lack of power that they show.
I think winning the World Series with the little power they have is now like winning without a great quarterback. It could happen.
This is
It's unlikely.
First of all, this is groundbreaking what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because we talk about this all the time. Like, what's the ceiling? How can you win? I've never heard you.
It's much harder. I don't agree with Jay a lot that you couldn't possibly do it. It hasn't happened in a few years. It used to happen all the time.
So how are you going to acquire power?
Well, they tried to.
Unless you give up some of your pieces.
Well, they did. I mean, they signed a player that's got good power. And could have great power. And here's the other thing.
And Zunino.
Zanino's
has
coming
much
in.
more power
much
than
more
Hedges,
power
if he's
in
healthy.
the catcher's position.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, is, and this is a rub-off factor, but getting a bat to put behind Jose Ramirez, you've now strengthened 1.5 positions in the lineup because you have somebody behind him that is going to put fear into pitch. They're not going to want to just pitch around Ramirez.
Right.
They're going to have to throw Ramirez more strikes.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to give him better-looking pitches. And so he's probably, I would like to see him.
And they need some other guys. They're hoping that Oscar Gonzalez is a 30 home run guy.
They are.
That's what they're hoping, And then some of these other guys, you hope. The Guardians, with their current, they don't have to be a top 5 team in home runs. They can't. It's impossible.
No,
but
they won't.
They got to get close to the middle of the pack, probably.
And, Bull, here's why. So if you look at the playoff series they won last year, it was against another team that also didn't hit home runs.
Right.
The Rays are in the Guardians' image. They're a very similar team to what the Guardians are.
But in the end,
then they ran into the Yankees, and what are the Yankees known for? You talked about it a couple of weeks ago. You can hold them down for 7 innings, but that 3-run home run is coming.
But you know what? That series was an even match until the last game.
It was, but in the end, what was the difference? The 3-run home run.
And then had you won, you would have to play the Astros.
And guess what? The Yankees couldn't match up with the Astros' power.
Yeah. Well, they could power-wise,
in the
but
series
the rest of
they
the
didn't.
team.
In the series they didn't, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's much harder to win now without having a lot of home runs.
I got you.
It's harder. I don't think it's impossible.
Even if your pitching's mediocre.
So what is the magic number here that you think that takes us over the top and wins-wise? What do you think that number is?
I think we can win 90 again. I do. I think 90 will win the division.
Yeah.
I do think that number.
I actually think high 80s will win the division.
Well, it could be because they're not going to rack up so many cheap wins against Kansas City and Detroit.
Right.
That was a huge benefit to the Guardians.
I mean, you're losing 12 to 14 games against those two awful teams.
Yeah, and that's if you win 8 of those 12.
Now some of the games you're making up are against bad teams too, because you're gonna the additional games are coming from the National League. You're now playing every National League team. So there are some bad teams in the National League also. But the Royals and Tigers are particularly bad. And the Guardians have consistently had their number in recent years.
So to your question ultimately about the home run and can you win a World Series without being a home run hitting team?
Hitting the contact, putting the ball in play.
Yeah, last year, well, this is wrong. I don't know why.
The only thing I'd say, Jay, is most of the teams that don't hit home runs are not good. So I don't know that we have enough of a sample size in recent years.
Here's the teams that were at the top of the home run hitting list last year. Yankees, number 1.
Yeah.
Playoffs.
Now they play in a park that allows them to hit a lot of home runs. It's a hitter's park for sure. Number 2, Atlanta.
Right.
Playoff team. Number 3, Milwaukee. Okay.
They weren't very good.
They're an outlier.
Yeah.
Number 4, Houston. Number 5, the Dodgers.
Yep.
Number 6, the Phillies. You're seeing a trend here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me take you down to the bottom of that list.
Okay.
Detroit.
Garbage.
Cleveland, an outlier, but they do something that you mentioned that no other team does. They put the ball in play more than every other team in baseball.
Right.
They don't strike out. Washington, bottom of the list. Oakland, bottom. Kansas City, bottom. Tampa Bay, again, another outlier, but built very much like the Guardians are. Miami, Colorado. So you see the trend.
Yeah. I would say, and by the way, Colorado's a great hitter's park, so that's even more embarrassing.
You're right. They have that few home runs.
But I would say that I do think it's hard to win the way the Guardians are doing it. However, what I would say is that the Guardians and Rays are the only good teams that don't have that big-time power.
You're right.
And that's been the case for a while.
They're built the same way.
And so we don't have enough data yet to know if you can win that way.
Yeah. It hasn't happened yet.
No.
But that doesn't mean it can't happen.
Right.
And also,
but I don't think it can.
Think about
Usually it's just bad team. Like those other teams, they don't hit for power and they don't hit, period.
Right. They're just bad all the way around.
But don't you have to factor in that the Rays and the Guardians have an unproportionate amount of great pitching? Their bullpens in the front, their rotations are awesome, so that keeps them in.
They both had great bullpens.
Yeah, but the Guardians' rotation is not great. They've got Shane Bieber's a top 10 pitcher.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tristan McKenzie was excellent last year, but he's only done it for 1 year. The rest of their rotation is average or below.
Oh, well, I'm talking about over the sample size of 5 to 7 years.
Oh, well, sure, but the Guardians, but they had more power. When they were in 16, 17, 18, they had a lot more power than
They
do
had
now.
much more power. McNuggets has something.
We got to get to top 5.
Oh,
and
let's do
power
it.
is a main element of this top 5 because today we are ranking the 5 best first basemen in Major League Baseball.
That position
power
is down right now.
I think it is too.
You look at some of the guys
say.
6 through 10.
Compared to where it was 10,
Oh, my God.
15 years ago,
Yeah,
man, there were some great first basemen.
There are some good ones still, but I do think the depth is not what it used to be, to Bull's point.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too. I do.
So I have my 5. I think most of these will be similar, maybe the order a little different, but I'm curious to what you guys think.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with what I thought was the hardest pick, was picking number 5.
5 was tough.
It was tough.
I went with Matt Olson.
That was my guy.
That's who I have.
Over Jose Abreu.
That was the debate for me, him and Jose Abreu.
Yeah, I have Jose Abreu below him. He's not in my top 5.
I think the other guy you could have, maybe I'm a little biased, but even though he's on a team I hate now, but Anthony Rizzo.
I thought hard about Rizzo because Rizzo's power numbers last year.
He's clutch.
He is so clutch.
He
Speaking
destroys
from
the
a Guardian
Guardians.
standpoint,
He destroys us.
Judge didn't fear me at all.
At all.
He
This
didn't fear
guy.
me because I know what he does in those moments.
Right.
Rizzo scared the hell out of me.
Right.
Every at-bat, I had the feeling he was going deep.
And he's a leader, and he's a great defensive player.
Yeah.
Not as great as he used to be, but still. I had him 6, but I thought I considered putting him ahead of Olsen.
I would put him at 6 too, and I struggled on that, but I settled. It's funny that we all have Matt Olson at number 5.
Shout out to Mary-Kate and Ashley's brother.
Hey, you know what, guys?
Who knew?
Hey, we're going to put a pause in this.
Pause. Put a pause.
Hey, Anthony, you want to talk in the mic while I do a mic check on Mr. Oakley? Anthony, you take this mic.
Oh, okay, so Charles is on.
Texting all over town.
Anthony,
What's that?
We're going to bring
I don't know
Charles
what we're
Oakley on. That's all right. We can talk here for a minute.
Yeah, we can talk amongst ourselves.
Yes.
Brad's got a funny look on his face.
I sit out a number texting people. I'm like, fine, Joe.
So you had to put out like a reconnaissance team.
Yeah, to get.
All right, very good.
I'll never forget that. Michael Jordan just let Dennis Rodman just go to Vegas for 2
Go ahead,
weeks.
man. Go ahead, bro.
What kind of power? What kind of sorcery is
But
that?
then when he was gone too long, they let me go to Vegas.
Time to come back.
You gotta come
Time to come
back.
home.
Now, who in the league at the time has that level of power?
Nobody.
Hey,
Ever.
guys.
Maybe in the league
Speaking
ever.
of nobody else in the league with certain qualities, when this dude played, there was no one in the NBA that had the same qualities as Mr. Charles Oakley, who we finally got.
He looks like a heavenly angel.
CO.
Backlit with white.
What's up, B?
What's up? Did K find you? Did Kevin find
No,
you?
man. I was waiting. I'm in Toronto right now. I did
that
some
where you
things
are?
for Showtime yesterday.
But I just text KE. He was trying to look for you for me. I was like, where's CO at?
No, I've been waiting. Next thing I know, was like my guy called me like, "Oh, you missed the call." I like, I've been waiting, so I'm here.
I'm
sorry
good,
I'm
man.
late.
I'm glad to have you with us, man. But here, if you don't know, Charles Oakley is arguably the best high school basketball player to come out of Cleveland, right?
No,
I mean, him and Clark Keller.
Oh, no.
Oh no, Charles.
That's my- hey,
Charles.
Brad, that's
Charles,
my
you know,
praise,
I call a spade a spade. Like
I appreciate the love, though.
he been like that since we was kids.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, Oak, you know what I always get asked about?
What?
That game when we played at Hay You remember what happened?
Warrensville?
Yeah, when we played the Hay, the guy that came out the stands.
Oh, well, it happened a lot of John. Hey, you know.
What happened, Brad?
So me and Charles
They asked me a lot of it too, Brad.
we get ready to tip it up, and so Charles and I and John Hay, and suddenly some guy runs out the stands with a gun.
Oh my God!
He runs like between me and Oak. The police are chasing him out the thing.
What?
And then hold on, Charles and I step back.
Yeah.
They let the guy get out of here. 2 minutes later, they said, "Y'all ready to tip?" I leaned over to Oak. I told Oak, I said, "Oh, that's how y'all do it down here. All right, let's go."
This just you know, Charles. This just goes to show you what type of area y'all came up in. When I grew up, we used to always watch it, and at the time, I'm about 41, so I caught you right when you was playing for the Knicks. And when you talk about the Knicks era, I was just like, they got 75 power forwards. They got X-Man, they got Charles Oakley, Mason, they got, Charles Smith. Yeah, so when you played,
don't mention Charles Smith to Knicks fans.
Yeah, well, listen, you're right. He missed 3-4 bunnies, but I digress. When you look at that,
he did get fouled.
Yeah. When you look at that era, and kind of explain the difference between then and now. Like, what's the biggest thing the game has changed? And why is it that so many of the veterans is like, listen, man, if I was playing right now, I'd be making $75 million and I'd be getting 30 points a game. What is the biggest difference between now and then, in your opinion?
I think when we came out, we was ready to play. These guys coming out now is not ready. So you're waiting for opportunities, these guys. You still have to pay them. But we didn't get paid. Even though we was ready to play, come in the game. Brad, I came in a year before Brad to come in. I was there. It was 3 power forwards. We had to work for our job. They didn't give us job. And I think that the way the game had changed, you got that stretch 4 and 5. I mean, basketball is basketball. You still got to put in the hoop. You got guys taking more shots, but the field goal percentage is a lot lower when we played. So it's a lot of difference. But when you see these young guys, they don't want to hear about the older days. But when we came in the game, we had to hear it, had to play through it. So it's a lot more easy to play now. Everybody said, well, we could have played back then. No, you couldn't.
No, you couldn't.
It's easy to play now. All you got to do is run them down the court.
Hey, Charles, tell them
and
this.
you're going to get shots now. Back when me and Brad plays, you get opportunities, maybe 5 or 6 shots a game. And these guys now getting 10, 12 shots. They can go 0 for 8 and still keep shooting. When we were 0 for 3 or 4, we had to find something else to do in the game.
You ain't lying. Chuck, tell them this, though. What's up with these dudes taking the days off? What is that about, Charles?
Hey, that's the new thing now. You can pay a guy $50 million. He play when he want to play. And I think why Brooklyn didn't trade Kyrie to the Lakers, because when LeBron went to, they played Brooklyn and the Knicks. He didn't play the Brooklyn game, but he played the next day with the Knicks. So I think the owners are holding a grudge. That's why they sent him to Dallas instead of to the Lakers. Because, the owner in Brooklyn, he's something special. He do a lot of things. And it's just a low man. I don't get it. I mean, you healthy, play. They talk about the sides that, well, guys shouldn't play with so many games, so many back-to-backs, but I don't know. Hey, the owners ain't mad. I can't be mad. So it is what it is. They're going to try to lock them out. But how can you lock out a league that 90% of the guys?
Hey, Charles, Brad says all the time Steph Curry could not play when you guys played.
Not to that level.
Or not, okay.
It was definitely a different game. Moving around, this and that. He would have to run through the paint. So guys, you couldn't run freely through the paint back then. They're going to bump you. They're going to step you.
Charles, tell them what would happen to you. Tell them what would happen to you cutting through there if you get going.
Oh, you're going to get bumped. You're going to definitely get bumped. Maybe twice. Not now. He run through freely. I see it all the time. But my thing is, the most important thing when you got a score like that, the guy whoever passed to the shooter, the big guys don't stunt no more. So he automatic. If the guy trailing Curry, the big guy, whoever checking the guy who passed for the stunt in for him, give him time to catch up with him. But they don't do that. You see, defense is so lazy now. That's why these guys can excel for scoring now.
Charles, one thing that as I find fascinating in taking a look at your career and even post-career, you have a passion for cooking. right? You are phenomenal on the sticks, man. When did you get into cooking, and what got you into that? And what do you think your favorite dish to cook?
Well, what got me into cooking, like when you playing in the NBA, when we played, we had to get our own bags, have to do this, carry them to the bus, wake up call. We had to get up, be grown man, get up on our, they ain't call us. We wake up, you had to either come to the bus, come on time, or miss a bus. So you get a lot of principles. So my thing with on the road was we eat so much food, and I'm real picky. So I said, let me learn how to cook. So when we come home from on the road, I don't have to go out and eat. I just cook at me at home and relax. So all that just picked up over my years in the league. But my cooking, my grandparents, my mom, they great cooks. So all that come in play with that. And I just learned how to cook the basic meals first, and then you work your way up.
Charles been cooking like that for a long time. Remember the big spaghetti pot you would cook in Chicago? Invite everybody over for spaghetti?
Yeah.
Hey,
You're
not going to remember this. We was in Charlotte because we was traveling commercial. So he and I go to get some breakfast in Charlotte Airport. And he asked for, tell him how you like your bacon, Charles. How you like your bacon?
Look like me. Well done.
and so they brought him some bacon that was some chewy bacon that day. He went off. I was like, oh, Lord. He gonna tell the dude about the waiter. I said, didn't I ask you for some well done bacon? I was like, this is like 8 in the morning. I was like, oh, Lord, what is going on here?
Yeah. Hey, one thing about me, the guys they like to go out with me, but when it comes to food, they don't like to be in a restaurant when I order. Because I have a presentation when I order. I tell them exactly what I want, but not, I'm sending it back. I'm like 90% sending meals back my whole career.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's like guys
Hey, Charles,
I'm real picky.
The fact that you didn't play for the Cavaliers out of college, what was that whole experience like for you, being drafted by the Cavs, then dealt to the Bulls? What was that like?
Well, they had called in advance, said it's going to be a pick trade, so I didn't get my hopes up high. My thing is, it might have been a good thing not going back to Cleveland, because when I was in Cleveland growing up, it was a lot going on, and a lot of my friends in and out of jails, and you never know, I could have got caught up, but it all worked out. My man Jay Crawford going down south at a Division II Virginia Union to draft a guy like me. I give him a lot of props. A lot of people just throw him on the bus. So I just came out with a book about 7 months ago, and I praised Jerry Krause in the book about a lot of things. And I think the guys keep throwing him on the bus about in the Bulls organization. But I tell everybody, Jerry Krause named the check. It's Jerry Reinsdorf. When Scotty didn't get a new contract with MJ, it wasn't Jerry Krause. Every owner, every big corporation can have a scapegoat, and that was Jay Krause in Chicago.
Wow. Yeah, interesting. What's your favorite story playing with Michael Jordan and your favorite story playing against Michael Jordan?
Wow, it's a lot of stories. I just try to say, I remember my rookie year, he took me to the All-Star game, and, we was in Dallas, and that's the year Sport Will won the dunk contest. And, we were just regular two guys getting out of wasn't private. Most other All-Star was private. So after that year, he went private every time. But anyway, we get the baggage plane. We had baggage plane, get our own bags.
Wow.
And one thing, the guy was like, that's Michael Jordan. And, I wasn't nobody. I was just a rookie. So, so we get both our bags. And it's just like, we check in the hotel. It's like we checking in. Now, if you get to the league now, none of the guys check in for themselves. They got their assistant or somebody else bringing the keys. It's just so. Yeah. But my thing with that happened, the whole All-Star, he never left the room in 3 or 4 days. He didn't go nowhere. I went out. He just stayed in the room. And, I think that playing with him showed me a lot of things about learning, lesson, how to treat people, how to advance yourself within the game. My story is not great, but I can just tell you a lot of good things came out of, playing with him and playing in Chicago. And then Brad came, and he showed you that we were a real close-knit team, because we did, even though he was Michael Jordan, we go in and shot a video together. We would hang out, tear up hotel rooms, fighting one another. We was all real close. We didn't know where we was going. We just trying to, make the team and last in the league.
Hey, Charles, I was telling about the last week. Tell about on the plane. We fly commercial, the major league and the minor league.
Oh yeah. Well, you talking about when the rooks the best in the best?
Yeah. With the tunk games, major league and minor league.
Oh yeah, the tunk games. Well, we always Sedale 3, Pete Myers. We had Mike Brown. We had a bunch of fun guys. When I first got there, we had some guys who wasn't really following the rules too much. And Michael Jordan talked about it in that Last Dance. Got a lot of people upset about because he said it was a lot of drugs around, and it was. You can't sweep it under the rug. It was a lot of drugs around.
Yeah.
Listen, when you get 12 guys that shoot around when games started, you only got 8. So
Yeah.
four guys didn't make it. You know what they was doing? It was crazy. We went through a lot my rookie year, and to get out of that safe and alive. And I knock on wood because I was brought up around drugs a lot, so I know that if I ain't used it by the time I got to the league, I wasn't going to use it because it was around me since like 6th or 7th grade.
By the way, I remember I was telling the story how I was the security guard, like the school security guard for Knicks rookie camp, because you guys, when you were with the Knicks, Charles, you practiced at SUNY Purchase, right?
SUNY Purchase, yes.
I was a freshman at SUNY Purchase in 1989. I went there for 1 year. I got kicked out of school after 1 year. I was not meant for that school. But I got to be like the security guard, like the fake security, until all you guys came with Patrick and everybody with the real security. But I remember shooting around at rookie camp with Brian Quinnett and Greg Butler. They let me shoot around with them once because I was guarding the gym for just those two guys. And I was telling the story because it showed you how great NBA players were, that guys like Quinnett and Butler, who were last, end of the bench guys who didn't play in the league that long, they were knocking down threes in practice, and they were hitting everything.
Well, you have to be able to do something to be on the team and get drafted. Something for when you do your report, you got to have something that, like, okay, every team needs 12 guys. We know that. But can these guys in practice make another guy better by working hard, not just being on the team, just I'm getting a check? And that's what you get in today's game. They just put guys on the bench now can't play dead. I probably gonna go still make a team. I really got in shape and tried.
They could play dead at a funeral. Right. Hey, Charles.
Butler and Gwinnett, they, two white guys. Butler could post up so he can, be in practice, so he competition because he was 6'10", and Gwinnett was more of a wing. So they worked it hard, and like I said, he played 5 or 6 years in the league. But SUNY Purchase was something special because when he had to go to practice, it was so simple, so easy. Yeah. I know Patrick. Patrick. We had a time. I remember the book. We just had fun. It wasn't long, but we just had fun. We planted to see, even though we didn't win a championship, myself and Brad there, but the team was coming. With Mike, what he could do night in, night out. If you go by, get the great players, how the Magic, Micah, Kobe, LeBron, all guys carried themselves for a long period of time in the league, and you can see that all of them guys won rings. Yeah. Now the Patrick, Barker, the Karl Malone, why they win a ring? Because they couldn't carry guys on their back. They couldn't make other guys better. Everybody out there named guys better in their own way, and that's the most important thing to leave. Can you have your best player can carry a team and win a championship? And that's what the game is all about, winning a championship.
Hey, Charles, let me ask you a question. I know that you've had your issue with the Knicks. How are you standing with the Knicks these days?
Well, I'm still outside. They bet me twice, and we had a station. Matter of fact, we got a open argument on April the 19th. Gonna be a big decision. Okay. It's just bad the way that happened.
That's just awful. That's awful.
Disrespect. If you look at it, it's still going on. This man just turned back his mother and daughter from the Radio Music City Hall from a play her daughter was going to. He had a face recognition. So the lady who came to bring her daughter to the show worked for a law firm. So in a law firm who sued him, no matter what position, what role you play in that company, if you work for this company, he had a face that you cannot come in none of his business, like the Beacon, Madison Square Garden. I mean, you can't. This lady is just a lady working to make a living, have nothing to do. She's maybe a clerk or either a front office person. He hold everybody hostage. Like, it's really messed up for the league. My thing is, because what he's doing is making the league look really bad.
So, Charles, tell me this, because you and I had this conversation, and I'm walking people back through this. Remember, I called you after the thing jumped off. I said, what happened, CO, in the garden? You said, as soon as you got in the door, they basically surrounded and accosted you. As soon as you came in the garden, right?
Yep. I walked down about 30 flights of steps, sit in my seat. I just left a meeting with 4 guys. I was 4 other guys. And sit there, saw Wayne Gretzky, the lady come ask me what I want. I said, I want a Coke and some popcorn. 4 or 5 minutes later after that, I was in there probably like at most 8 to 10 minutes. Next thing you know, here come 8 guys. I'm like, what's going on? They said, well, you got to leave. I said, leave for what? And they just did after that. They started grabbing on me, and one thing led to another. He tried to say I hollered at him. I didn't even come nowhere in contact with him. I didn't know he was there until Wayne Gretzky came and spoke to me. Not Wayne Gretzky, John McEnroe. It's a sad situation. Because then you turn around what he did to Spike Lee. Then what he did to Patrick. He's a control freak. So my thing is, he just doing too much over the top. It's disrespect. People spending their own money to come in there. Ain't like I had bought them tickets that night. They didn't give me them tickets. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know. He just like a lot of attention. He's a control guy. And this stuff been going on. Not just the owner in Phoenix been doing wrong. This man been doing the same thing for years and years. So we're going to see what happens.
Yeah. He ruined the franchise.
Charles, what I want to do, I can't believe that. Bad job out of us. We done talked about all this stuff. We didn't even get to the real deal. I need to do some name association. I'm going to throw a name out at you, and you give me the first thing that comes up.
Okay.
You ready? Let's go with Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, man. Sneaky.
All right. That's good. I like that. Charles Barkley.
I ain't got nothing to say good about Charles, but
that's okay.
I don't know, because my thing is he mad because he always said why I talk about him. I said, Charles, you talk about the younger kids now. When you played, you talking because somebody was winning your mouth. So I'm just saying, he's taking advantage of the situation on TNT.
Okay, he's taking advantage. I like that. Alonzo Mourning.
I say he's a workaholic. I can say that.
He's trying to be PC.
Scottie Pippen.
Underrated.
Okay. Ooh. That's a nice one. Magic Johnson.
What the world look for? A great smile and a Hall of Fame.
Last but not least, Jeff McGinnis.
Jeff McGinnis. He should know who to pick his fight. He should know Mayweather.
Wait, we gotta ask Brad Sellers.
What?
Or Brad.
One of Cleveland's great. Brad set the bar.
No,
he's a 7-footer, probably only 7-footer. Made 7-footer went to two Big Ten schools and end up in the draft top 10 pick.
No, we forgot one though. Hold up, Brad. We forgot. What about Xavier McDaniel? Take the video.
The X.
Oh, we got the video.
Oh, yeah. It's our X. Watch this.
Yeah, this was good.
Underside power forward.
Hey, Oak, so they showing the video. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
remember that scrap? And I was like, oh, man. And both of them friends of mine, right? And I was like, I'll come in here in the end. I'm trying to separate. I said, when I got in there, they was throwing haymakers in this thing. I was like, it was just body shots. I was like, and the referee didn't want to break it up. Didn't nobody want to touch him. And then afterwards, Charles comes after the game. He's waiting. We going out to eat. And Charles, we going to the restaurant. Charles telling me, tell your boy X I'm going to get him. And then I get on the plane the next day, and X like, tell your boy Oak I'm going to get him. I'm like, oh, my God. I said, what is wrong with
Today
Charles?
there'd be a pay-per-view
boxing
match.
We ended up playing 2 years in New York together.
Yeah, I know, right?
We played in New York together. I was like, I seen X-Men.
I just kill him in practice every day because our practice they know how to bounce. I just run his ass over.
Oh yeah, you play. You only win hard.
I missed those fights.
Mike, before you get to the last question, Charles, tell him this. How hard was this practice? How hard did we go?
Oh, we went real hard. But we went hard in Chicago, but in New York we went harder. It was another tier. Pat Riley, hey, that's why a lot of guys kind of mad at Pat Riley. But my thing is, I say when you're in shape, you ready to go to war. So a lot of guys they used to a certain way, but Pat Riley, he gonna ride you. He not gonna let you get away with something. If it ain't right, he gonna make you do it over. Cause we used to tape for shoot around.
Oh,
I ain't too many teams tape for shoot around.
Tape for shoot around.
You getting your ankles taped?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Crazy.
If we lose a game we should, win, we're gonna have tape, and we got back to back. We ain't gonna have that day. We're gonna practice the next day. We went to war.
And if y'all don't know, they love Charles Oakley in New York and Chicago and Chicago.
Well, I was in my 20s when Charles Oakley was playing in New York, and everybody loved that team.
Yeah, that was a great team.
Wait, Charles, before we let you go, tell us about your foundation real quick and what good things you guys are doing.
Yes, the Oakley Foundation and the Oakley Hungry. We last year, I'm glad we're on the air. So last year was my first year with my Oakley Foundation, once we got all the paperwork straightened out. And I had the big event in Cleveland last year. I did 4 things in Cleveland. And NBA, I call them up, they know what's going on. I call them like 8 months before, they know they come to Cleveland. And I talked to them a couple of things about what I was doing. So to make a long story short, by the time a week before, they backed out of everything they said they was going to do. So I had a weekend, I did 5 different things. NBA didn't contribute nothing. They didn't invite me to the cocktail party, to the game, to the historic Black College game, to be a judge of the. They didn't do nothing with me. And guess what happened this year at Utah? They put my name on the picture at the luncheon.
No, they didn't.
Last year in Cleveland under Carmelo and Jesse Jackson. So this year in Utah, they put my picture up on the board like I'm there in town. I didn't even go.
Hey,
I was so embarrassed that.
Oh, before you, because I know your foundation. Listen, here's a man that cares about his community, always has, right? And is always working behind the scenes to get things done for people. He does stuff that people don't even know what he does, right? Because he got a heart like that. But before we go, CO, I got to ask you, right? LeBron or MJ?
Hey, I keep telling y'all, it's Frosted Flakes and Corn Flakes. Both of them in the cockpit. But MJ flying it. And LeBron in the cockpit, in the co-pilots, both of them can fly the plane. But you know what? When the CEO and the vice president, you have to have a Tyler. So both of them is in the cockpit. And I always tell everybody, it's MJ, LeBron. LeBron, we be together all the time.
You keeping it 100.
That's my feeling.
You keeping it 100.
I know over his career and done a lot more. MJ only played 15 years. He played 20. So he lasted longer. That's going to be better because LeBron been a career average 27. On 1 year, he scored on 26 points. His rookie year, 22 points. Yeah. So after that, he got a career that ain't nobody can never. Kareem last 3 years he played 20 years. His last 3 years was like 13, 14, 17. LeBron last 3 years was 30.
Right. You're right.
So Kareem is there. He always talk. Kareem is my thing is Mike, LeBron, Kareem. We got Kareem, then LeBron. Now I got LeBron second.
Okay.
All right, very good.
All right, CO, man.
All right, man.
Charles,
Hey, what's wrong with second? You still didn't?
Huh?
Go ahead. Brian, who you got?
I got
Who you
MJ. You know I got MJ.
He's on MJ's payroll. Don't worry.
I ain't on the payroll. I saw the work.
He took a lot of free Nikes.
I saw the work. I stole a couple of MJ. What's up?
Only one guy can check MJ.
Say it again.
One guy. I tell all the time. Huh?
Who can check him?
I
Oh,
say
Pete
only one
Myers.
guy can check
Pete
MJ.
Myers.
I tell all the time.
Pete Myers.
Pete Myers. Yeah.
Pete Myers. Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Pete Myers.
You ain't lying. You not lying.
Talk trash to him.
Talk trash to him all day long.
I ain't never seen nobody get him into MJ like Pete Myers.
Like Pete Myers
Every day,
did. Yep.
like once a month. Not every day.
This every day.
Wow.
This every day.
That's crazy.
Even walking to the practice floor talking to him.
Charles, that's right.
He's disqualified now.
Shout out to my man. As we let Charles go, let's shout out to my man
Charles,
Charles.
great
All right,
job,
man.
man.
Thanks, Charles.
Hey, Charles.
All right, guys, let me know. I come back.
I appreciate you taking up for me with Doug on the plane when I was suspended.
Oh, no doubt. You should have told him that's third. I ain't dug up. And the last dance, last thing, all right, because this is getting real greasy. Because that last dance, they know why Doug got fired. See, that's why I'm saying. They know it. Like Brad, no. They know. They lied about that. It ain't because he lost in the second round, the semifinals. It because something else. So the last dance, they dancing around a lot of stuff. So if you want the real answer, you call the oak tree.
All right, CO.
Brad, no.
I know. You know I know. All right, CO, be good, baby.
All right, man. Thank y'all, man. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, spill the tea.
Tell us the story.
I mean, you're not going to leave us hanging.
Nah, listen.
No,
He said call CO.
Did you like Doug Collins?
I like Doug. I like what Charles said. There's another side to the story, right? It just wasn't. Listen, sometimes when you get let go, it ain't just because of your performance.
McNuggets, you just learned what it is to see two black men from over the age of 55 see each other in the grocery store. Yeah, dog. Hey, Chuck. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you crazy. That boy crazy. You ain't remember what I did the other day though. You remember what I did the other day. Stop playing with me. You better quit playing.
Well, he just dropped a nugget on you though. I tell you, the only guy that we ever saw check MJ.
That's interesting.
Pete Myers.
Why? What was the deal?
Pete was a guy. He was a rookie when he and I came in the same year, right?
Yeah.
So Pete's rookie year, the Bulls. He was a 6th-round pick, and he played well in preseason. They kept him, right? He was fun to be around. You know how much they paid Pete Bull?
Myers. I have no.
$60,000.
Wow.
Pete didn't even have a car. I had 2. I said, and because he was catching. I said, man, just take my other car. Just drive.
I remember you told us.
I said, just drive a car, man. Just drive a car. All right.
How long did he stick around?
He stayed around for years. He
was
played longer than I played.
He played 90. Pete Myers, I remember.
He played longer than I played.
Here we go. Pete Myers, 86-87 Bulls, 87-88 Rockford Lightning, 88 Spurs, 88 Sixers, 88 Zaragoza, 88-90 Knicks. Then the Nets, the Spurs.
Yeah.
He played a million. Then he
went
coached
back to the Bulls
in the
for a long
mid-90s.
What was his deal with Jordan? Why?
Michael took a liking to Pete because he had a nice, infectious personality.
So it was playful but competitive.
But Pete played hard. He didn't care. He was from this is my only meal, so I got to come and play you hard every day. And so when Mike would do him, Pete wouldn't back down. He would talk stuff to Mike. Mike would talk stuff back to Pete. Yeah, it was great. It was wholesome. It wasn't no mess.
Right, friendly, but
yeah. And it was like,
competitive.
and people learned respected Pete. They're like, oh my God, because other people would bow down to Mike. Right. They would just bow down. They'd be afraid. And Pete like, I ain't scared of you. I ain't scared of you at all.
Wow.
Pete was from Mobile, Alabama. He like, I don't care about you. And then at the end, Pete just became the guy. He like, you know, and so I was like,
I'm surprised Jordan didn't make sure he stuck around longer.
Yeah,
he was an assistant coach with the Bulls until just a couple of years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, sure was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got to do PCC real quick. Are you looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits? Well, PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. So
let's get back to the top 5, right?
We're going to save the top 5 for Monday.
Okay.
We only got through one. We'll save that for Monday. We got to talk a little Browns.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson went on Quincy Avery's podcast yesterday,
What?
which is now posted online. You can listen to it.
Okay.
And he said a couple things that were interesting. We're going to focus on one today, but we'll start with the stuff that isn't our focus. He said, it's not a cliche. I genuinely really like the city of Cleveland.
And it sounded
reminds
legit.
me a lot of Lake of Clemson. Sounded legit. He praised Kevin Stefanski and his play calling abilities, which is something we've obviously discussed a lot. But, Steve, you can take tagboard full. This is the tweet that kind of went off yesterday and the comment he made that got people thinking. And I tweeted it out. Deshaun Watson says he'll be, quote, in the same area as DeAndre Hopkins this weekend on the Q podcast with Quincy Avery. Take that as you want, Browns fans.
Well, what's the context of him, like?
That was it, I think.
No, but was there, like,
so
what was the question?
Quincy asked Deshaun, or it got brought up that Quincy was with Deshaun when Hopkins said he wants out of Arizona. And Quincy broke that news to Deshaun, and Deshaun goes, yeah, I heard about that. I haven't talked to him yet, but we're going to be in the same area this weekend. Kind of hinting at the fact that he may put a little recruitment or a little nugget in his ear.
Was there a video, or was this just audio?
Just audio.
Okay,
and
so
the audio,
you couldn't tell if he had a sly look on
you
his
could not tell if
face
there was
or-
a smile. It was just audio, and to be honest, the audio wasn't elite audio. It sounded like he was on a phone
It was
in
not
a car driving.
UCSS
It
quality.
was not
audio.
UCSS quality. It was like early first day of UCSS quality.
Not even that good.
If you guys remember that. But that got a lot of people on Twitter talking about a possible reunion between Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. And G, you were the first one to comment on my tweet saying, let's make this happen.
Yeah, listen,
I don't think this means anything.
It might not, but you know what I learned about the power of this television thing right here?
What is it?
You say it enough times, it becomes factual.
Oh, Jedi mind trick.
Hey, Deshaun, listen, if you're going to be out there, it's no harm if you pull up on your guy.
Pull up.
You know, and then take a look at some of those old films y'all had with the Texans and, you know, how good that was and how y'all was connecting. And then maybe that might, you know, just bring up some things about how his services could be possibly used here in Cleveland.
So to Jay's question last week, you have to listen to your top dog, right? He's got some, you know, he's got some familiarity with people.
Right.
And this kind of talk and banter goes on all the time. It's not what they be talking about. You tamper. You're not tampering. I'm talking to a friend of mine, right? He the one that put it out in the wind about the ethos about, man, I don't like it down here. Okay, don't you? Well, could you like it in Cleveland? I'm gonna ask you that because there are some people that you play with that you just have a certain rapport with.
Yeah, that conversation's definitely taking place.
I could go back today, 30 years later, and line up with Dennis Hopkins just like it was 1984, right? Like we were at Ohio State together. I could do that today I wouldn't blink an eye because you get to know somebody. You get to know how they work. Yeah. And I might have seen you for a while, but down deep, I know what you do.
Man, look, Jamar Chase and the Bengals, people don't realize he sat out a year. Jamar Chase didn't even play in the NCAAs. He sat out a year and then came back. Joe Burrow said, let me get him. Some of them throws they throwing, that's ESP. That's like we've been doing this pitch and catch forever.
Forever.
He's there. I'm throwing. I'm like, there's no way you could throw this football there. And he throw it there and then get it there.
Well, they had a touchdown against the Browns that just looked like an accident. But Chase knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, is it worth it though?
It is.
Is it worth it?
Bull has talked a lot about his mental state, about making sure that he gets over these hurdles.
Keep coming.
The way you do that is to put him in a very comfortable environment. Give him things that remind him of his success, and that guy's one of them.
I'm really torn about this, guys. There's part of me that's like, that's his guy. He's a Hall of Fame player. They should go get him. The other part of me says, the Browns, if they make a move for a big-time wide receiver, they can't get it wrong.
No, they can't.
And Hopkins is going to be 31 at the beginning of this year. He had a PED suspension this year. He missed time due to injury the season before.
Right.
But when he came back, what did you see?
He was good.
He was great.
I don't know that he wasn't the player he once was. He's no longer super elite. I think he's still very good. My concern is wide receivers don't generally age well. How many really top-notch 31-year-old receivers are there?
What's the alternative?
Well, there's a lot of potential alternatives.
I think you have to go with the closest thing to a can't miss that you can find.
But is he at this point in his career?
Name a better option, and I'll listen.
I mean, I think there are. I mean, I don't know who's going to end up being cut here due to cap casualties, but I think in terms of like free agency, I think Keenan Allen might become available, and at least with Keenan Allen, I don't have to give up assets to get him.
Well, the one thing that
I know that, but at least I'm not with DeAndre Hopkins. I've got to pay him $20 million a year because he's owed $20 million a year. Plus, I got to give up pretty good assets to get him.
Definitely.
The one thing that we're missing out on, the familiarity piece.
Right.
I don't have time to keep learning new people. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I got to get right here, right? And
I want his mind right.
That's what I'm saying. When I'm talking about getting right, you better align me with some people that I know that I have a built-in support system here, right? Yeah. These are people that I've been in the battle and trenches with, right? I can legitimately go to you and say, I trust you, right? And that's not to be...
guys, can we name 31-year-old wide receivers that are still good?
They're out there. Yeah, they're still. You can be productive at 31.
Devontae Adams.
We just have the same conversation about Carmelo. It's the same thing, right?
Adams is 29, by the way.
Devontae Adams,
he's 29. That's a big difference in wide receiver years.
Well, he missed some games. He was chilling. Like, I put it to you like this.
What was he doing?
He was chilling.
Okay.
He was posted up. He didn't do much. He wasn't even cutting grass. I think, but see, watch how this sounds.
Come on.
You got Amari Cooper on one side. You got DeAndre Hopkins.
Ooh.
Amari Cooper gonna eat.
Do it again.
You got Amari Cooper over here and DeAndre Hopkins.
I'm going to roll with that.
These is route running savants. These do now all of a sudden you can't. What you gonna do? Third down? What you talking about? I got two guys that's gonna get open.
Gee, you may be right, but again, you guys are totally dismissing the fact that he could go over the cliff in a hurry.
He could.
What happened with Julio Jones?
Hold on.
Over the cliff in a hurry.
Hold on.
What happened with A.J.
Well, they
Green?
all do, though.
Over the cliff in a hurry.
could.
And this is around the age that it happened.
But Bull, on the
It's
all-in
good.
theory that you
Yeah.
belong to,
We,
Deshaun Watson could go over the hill in a hurry.
yep.
Well,
we
here.
have to.
Anybody sitting in these
that's
seats
not a
can
good
go over the hill in a minute,
already have.
right? Everybody in
That's
these
already
seats
have
can
comparison.
go over the hill in
I'm
a
giving
minute.
you the history of receivers in their 30s.
I went over the hill
Carson
this
Wentz,
morning.
boom. He's not in his 30s. Gone.
Jay,
It happens.
I get it. but
RG3.
Those are rarities,
Are they?
okay?
Well,
They
Wentz,
They're not so
RG3,
rare as you think.
they're not as rare as you think. Guys all of a sudden get old.
Those are bad comparisons.
Russell Wilson.
Those guys aren't bad because they're old. Deshaun Watson was elite his entire time in Houston.
Okay.
Carson Wentz wasn't in Philadelphia. Robert Griffin III played 1 year. Okay. Russell Wilson is significantly older than Watson. None of those are good examples. I'm telling you
It's all
that there
possible.
are no. Give me an example of a guy who at 31 still played at a high level wide receiver. Can you name one?
So in professional
Yeah,
sports,
they're
be
out there.
clear. In professional sports, there are no guarantees, right? They're hedged bets.
Right.
All of them are hedged bets.
But this is a rarity that a guy is good at 31 at wide receiver. Can we name one?
How old's
Mikey? Are you
Cooper
guys
Kupp?
looking?
I'm looking. Does
Can we
Travis
name a
Kelce?
single
Travis
good
Kelce's
wide
a tight
receiver?
end.
Cooper Kupp
31?
is 30, I think.
If he's not 30, he's close.
close.
Who
Who
is?
Cooper Kupp.
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's in his late 20s.
He's not.
That's a big difference.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Quickly. One day we was losing revenue.
So nobody can name a 31-year-old receiver that's any good. Nobody.
Here's what I'm gonna give you.
Has it ever happened?
I'm sure it has.
Okay, because Jerry
but it's
Rice played in
rare.
the league and was pretty damn good at 40.
But
Sometimes-
that's an anomaly.
Sometimes when you run in a business and you're the head of a business, yes, you don't have everything that you're going to be 100% guaranteed. But when you're losing money, it's like saying, I'm going to keep this on the menu and everyone loves it, but you still losing money.
You
you
guys
gotta
are
cut your
making
losses.
you
You
guys
gotta
are
cut your
making it
losses.
seem as if it's Hopkins or nothing. That's not the case.
no,
Do
that's
you know
not.
do you know what receiver led the league in receiving yards this year? Who started the season at the age of 30?
Who's that?
He finished 19th in the league. Tyler Lockett.
Okay.
So he was 19th,
Here's what you got to get.
and he's 30, not 31.
Here's what you're getting. You need to unlock other pieces of your team. He unlocks Amari Cooper. Now all of a sudden David and Njoku is a little better
I
in the middle.
understand all of that. I'm
We're
just saying I'm
here-
not sure that's going to happen.
We're here because they missed on 2 wide receivers in the draft in the last 2 years
Yep.
in the
Right.
3rd round.
Yep.
That's why we're here.
That's why. I love that.
If Schwartz was any good, we're not asking this question. If Bell was any good, we're not asking this question.
So now we are here. We are all in. We have no time to wait on another young
I ain't got
and
receiver.
we've gone 5 minutes with nobody being able to name a 31-year-old wide receiver that's good.
That's past.
Well, is DeAndre Hopkins good?
I don't know if he's still going to be
Because
good.
you're
Julio Jones was good, and then he had 31 and went off the cliff.
I am looking at DeAndre Hopkins as still a very good receiver.
Very good
I
how?
am.
Like top 10?
I don't know. I want to see him for a year,
I don't. First
obviously.
of all,
but
hold
yeah,
on.
when
First
we
of all,
last saw him, he was a top 10 receiver.
First of all,
He wasn't.
First
Not
of all,
last year.
First of
it's
all,
last
But
full
he was
year.
29 years old,
First
and that's
of
a big
all,
difference.
I don't need him
So
to
you
be
cut every
top
receiver when they hit
10.
30?
I don't need him to
No,
be top
but you
10.
don't give up a lot of draft picks
I
and
need
trade
him to
one-
be good.
Hey.
That's all I need, right?
Here's
I
what-
have another good guy on the other side.
Yeah.
I need somebody to do
Thank
something
you.
else, right?
Thank you.
I can't depend on these
There's
young
other
dudes.
options.
And you know
there's
what?
better
I
options.
can't
I don't
depend on
trust
these
him to
young
find this guy in the draft.
No.
Because their track record is ass.
And here's the
So
thing.
is the track record of 31-year-old
Here's the
wide
thing,
receivers.
Bull. I keep telling you.
Yeah.
You have a luxury. You see T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Tyler
Those
Boyd
guys are young.
weekly.
They're young.
Guess what?
Gee, I'm not arguing they got to get. Of course, they got to get a receiver. I don't think Hopkins is the right guy.
I think Hopkins is better than every option that they got available to him.
But we don't know what the options are available. Who knows who's willing to
That's
Who's
trade?
a better
question
option
mark.
that we know is available right now? Who's a better
Well,
option?
we don't know that DeAndre Hopkins is available.
Well, he wants out. We know that.
Just because he wants out doesn't mean they're
Hey,
going to trade him.
They usually,
At the end of the
if he
day-
wants out bad enough, maybe he'll restructure.
I'm just saying, you have to give up a lot to get him potentially, and he's 31 years old.
We're here.
I'd much rather call the Seahawks about the.
I'm open to suggestions.
That goes back to this. You're on a Watson timeline here. With the other players, it's all tick. We ain't got time to be doing a whole lot of
It's determined for 10 minutes. You guys can't name one 31-year-old good wide receiver, and yet you're all totally ignoring that.
That's not the purpose of the exercise, to name one 31-year-old receiver that's any good.
The odds
DeAndre Hopkins, that's the guy we're talking about. He's a good receiver. He's 31. I don't care about everybody else.
He hasn't played at 31. We don't know if he's good.
I'll take him. When I last saw him, with my eyes, I saw him. That dude can still do it.
And I'm going to take him.
So did Julio Jones the year before he went down.
We didn't get Julio Jones.
So did A.J. Green the year before.
We didn't like A.J. Green.
Didn't want Julio. We wanted Julio when he was 22.
We want Hopkins.
Screwed that up.
Hopkins.
Viewer questions?
Viewer questions in overtime.
Viewer
yes, sir.
questions in overtime.
All right. Shout out to Charles Oakley.
Peace. Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen.